See snails now too.
Yeah, you should see snails.
No,
Um,
I because of me running or playing in two different campaigns, I have to keep selecting which of my
uh,
tokens I am.
yeah. No, I know. That's it. The only people that get away with that is Tarrant, Stacy, Hannah, and Steve. Everyone else plays in both my games. Um, all right, so quick recap from last session. Since Hannah wasn't here, this is going to be more of an
On
overview
Dragon Ball Z.
of what went down. So she is caught up, and then towards the end of it, I am going to have a vital question for Hannah.
But, oh man, you didn't ask her yet.
I didn't do it.
He wants to kill everything.
So
Everything dies.
that's right. So basically, what happened last session was the party had made their way down to the Lizardfolk camp. Me and you went down there. You was disguised as a lizard folk, and me was acting as a representative of sorts, explaining that he was trying to establish a trade route here through the swamps. He was able to talk to the lizard folk chieftain Hassan. By the way, I want to start using this term. I mentioned it to Stacy the other night in a thing I sent her. If you hear me refer to the lizard folk as Turok, Turrahk, that is the term that I came up with like 2 or 3 years ago for lizard folk, because it always pissed me off that Azamar and Tiefling and Tabaxi are called that, but they're not called like angel folk or devil folk or cat folk. So if you hear me say Turok, that is that is the word that I use, at least in my own mind, for lizard folk.
That's your logic. Look at him.
Yeah. So, but they spoke with the chieftain, whose name was Hassan, and was explaining about wanting to try and get this trade route built up, but also letting free the merchants and the guards as well, and more importantly, the ale. Some discussions were starting to build up, but it was about this time when the deal was almost struck between the two of them, when two rot trolls came crashing through the trees off to the right of the screen, and the large Turok that had gone out hunting, his body was thrown into the encampment as the rot trolls rushed in. At this point, the rest of the party had been there. They had been called forth to show their numbers against the Turoks, and the chieftain asked the group to aid them in fending off these rot trolls, and should they be able to defend against them, they would solidify their deal. So combat ensued, and through the battle, there was very minor deaths. Most of the rot trolls were brought down with fire-based attacks. In fact, that was the thing that was kind of pissing me off, was I couldn't use their undead fortitude. But
You forgot how one rot troll was not brought down by fire attacks
oh, that's true. He was just shot in the fucking head.
and did 109 damage in
Yes,
one attack.
yeah. There was a fuck ton of damage done by me, against the one rot troll, which was pretty badass. But through the combat, unfortunately, a few of the Turoks did die from a third rot troll that came crashing in on the west side of the screen. But with the combined power of the party, you were able to defeat it. In fact, Albina ran up and was manning the center of the party and holding back the one who entered in later in the encounter. It was after this that the deal was struck in order to allow the merchants as well as the guards to be set free. Being as the hour was late, the group was ready to take a rest, and they were welcomed to rest here with the Turoks. Over this time, me and you and Cephas scavenged through the overturned the overturned wagon, or flail snail carriage, in order to see if the barrels of ale were actually saved from the third rot troll that came busting into the place, crushing the one which many tears were shed by me from the broken cask of ale. Chieftain Hassan also gave Cephas a longbow that he can use with his strength modifier, an oversized longbow, due to the fact that he witnessed Cephas trying to shoot with a standard longbow, and it just was not really working out in his best favor. So he gave him a much bigger longbow, more suited for his size. During this time, the Turoks began to gather up the dead that had fallen in combat. There was a few commoners as well as a guard, and then started to butcher their bodies. You watched as they began to ritualistically dismember the killed Turoks and throw their meat and bones and blood into a boiling pot of water, the same pot of water that they were planning on using to boil, to cook the humans, the merchants, and the guards. The chieftain then invited the party to stay with them for the evening to rest and revel in their victory against the rot trolls and for the safety of the village, and to feast on the meat and blood of those who have died in order to allow their spirits to carry on and to gain the strength by which they grant. Bringing me to my question, Hannah, if you want to unmute your mic, would Albina have indulged the Turoks by partaking in this ceremonial gesture of feasting upon this meat? I will say everyone else did.
Some
Here.
a little more hesitantly
Okay.
than others.
Clear? Did you say yes?
Oh, I said peer pressure. No.
Basically, the way that the chieftain explained it was the Turoks believe that feasting upon the bones and the flesh of those who have fallen against their enemies will allow their spirits to carry on through them through the rest of their lives. That the Turoks are an eternal race built around survival and propagation, and it is through that act that they allow their kind to live on through them, and that they wish for you to share in that, to build this bond of allyship.
Yeah, I guess if it's gonna help build them as an ally, Albina would think tactically. Yeah.
Clear. All right, so it was at that point that you guys were able to get a rest. So Hannah, make sure that you do a long rest on your character sheet. And that is pretty much where we're going to be picking up, in fact. And I did want to mention one thing. It was actually something that I had sent to Stacy, but I know that at the end of the session, Aaron made a comment that he too wanted to talk with Hassan about the lizard folk. So what I was just going to do is I was just going to recite back what I sent Stacy, which is what Hassan kind of explaining a little bit about the lizard folk. More or less stating Semuana, the chief deity of the Turoks. I'm gonna do it in his voice as I read it in my own head. So this would have taken place over the evening as everyone was resting. So those of you that would have been staying up, but at least Iluna and you guys would have this information. Simuana is our chief deity. While some Turok worship others, such as Esilis or Sesenik, we here within the swamps seek the guidance of the survivor. It is often said that Simuana does not care for the Turok, or that he only cares for himself, but this could not be further from the truth. Simuana's purpose is to survive and thrive, a figure of pure existence. But those who say that Simuana does not care do not see the truth around them. He is the one who wrought these Turok. Through our skin his blood flows. This is why we shan't let his blood spill to waste, nor his flesh to rot. We consume the dead to allow him to thrive on in the living. His blood and flesh provides us the tools to survive ourselves. We drink the blood, eat the flesh, turn the bones to tools and weapons. These gifts he places in us, to pass on to the brood, to make them stronger in the morn. While there are those who see these truths and know, it is the other ways that followers and bards do not see and understand that taint the idea of Simuana. We find the whelps along the road, clearly set before us by Simuana to ensure our survival. As he says this, he's like literally looking straight at the merchants and the guards. We drag them along, the intent to cook them and draw the trolls away from us, letting us survive another day. Then you arrive on the word of attack and see the whelps unharmed. You help aid the village from the trolls and see to both our survival and that of the whelps. If we were not meant to survive, we would not be here around this fire this eve, sharing a meal. Simuana saw fit that we all survive, and those who fell live on in us. So with that, just a little bit of insight where Hassan is coming from in his chieftain, his deity. But the night continues on. There's still a constant commotion around the place, as later on in the evening, some lizard folk come in from the surrounding areas, often going to speak with Chieftain Hassan, and you could see that he is gathering information. And it's also that you see a few of the other lizard folks beginning to make their way out of the village occasionally, mostly with bows and daggers in tow and carrying clubs on their sides. But as your long rest is finished and you all wake anew, there is a bit more of a commotion here in the village this morning. The sun is beginning to just barely creep through the trees off to the west. Give me one quick second. I just got a message. But you see, like I said, there's commotion going on, and Hassan steps above on one of the flail snails here in the village and looks out across everyone and says, "It is time that we begin our traversal. We must move on from this space, find our next home." And as he steps down, you actually see he walks over to your group, as well as the guards and merchants. And he approaches everyone and says, "It is time for us to depart one another. The village has rested for the night. The scouts have told me there are no more trolls in the area. But we must continue on. We must find the old home. I will send 2 scouts with your party, so you may find your way home. And
Lucas, real fast.
Uh-huh.
Didn't last time me go ahead and ask the chieftain if he could see if he had any other like special arrows or whatnot for the crossbow?
He did.
Oh, yeah. Give me a second.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know if you forgot or not, or
Mhm.
if I was able to do that right before we break away. But okay, continue. My bad.
Yeah.
Good.
I was thinking, me wanted to talk to the chief too, not just you and Eileen.
Did me want to talk to the chief?
Well, about the
He
arrows.
made the agreement and the arrangements. Me
true.
just wants the trade deal, and that's why he offered him the horn of hearing and I think the
Mhm.
2 hide armors
Yeah.
last night. And he goes, in the morning we'll discuss what I can get in return.
Mhm.
To go ahead and show good faith and be like, hey, here's the trade deal that we're discussing.
Yeah. So that's actually what we're coming up to. So as he approaches the group, he says, I will send 2 scouts with you. They know the route to the north. It will be the fastest route back to your village. And you hear a bit of a commotion, like a murmur around the guards and the merchants. You hear one of the merchants say, oh, wait, should we not go back to the wagons and collect what we can? And you hear another one looks over at him and says, and do what with them? Exactly. The wagons are destroyed. They
Then
were wrecked. Well, magic can only get us so far, and unfortunately, the amount of damage that is done to them, we don't have everything. Unfortunately, a lot of the parts was scrapped and salvaged by, and he looks over at Chief Hassan, and the chieftain sort of nods and he says, it is true, we did use your wagons to burn our fires and warm our skin at night. And the one merchant looks over at you and says, yeah, so unless you have some way of creating a wagon, not everything's gonna be there. I mean, unless your magic can do that.
Aluna would kind of look over at me and be like, how are we going to get the barrels then?
Oh, easy. I'm going to make the
You're just
scouts
gonna,
carry it, and then we're going to roll it the rest of the way home.
won't it be like really heavy? They had to go in a bear. They had to be in a wagon. These
One
were
of
things I was thinking of actually asking. How I figured we would try to transport to the wagons. In my mind, they were mostly intact, but regardless.
Oh yeah, no,
Um,
they were like there was like wheels missing and everything like that. Like one of the lizard folk is definitely using a wheel as a shield, as impractical as it is. That fucking garage wheel.
I'm just imagining all the spaces in the wagon wheel. Anyhow, um, yeah, one of my first thoughts was how on earth we would actually move the ale. I'd imagine it'd be incredibly heavy.
You hear one of the guards, he kind of chuckles. He says, "Why not have the merchants carry it? They are supposed to be the one moving it."
Me chuckles at that response, and he kind of goes, I like the way this guard thinks.
He just sort of shrugs his shoulders. He says, "All I'm saying is, it's kind of their fault we're all out here anyway." The merchants kind of like grumble and moan at that sound as they look over at Yumi.
I mean, I agree with him. If it wasn't for you guys getting caught off guard and so forth, I would be sitting in the tavern drinking this ale and there wouldn't be a destroyed one already. But that's not my paycheck that's getting affected by the destroyed one.
So as you're saying this, as you're having this discussion, it is at this moment you notice that Hassan has ushered over a few other Turok, and he says, the one is carrying a bundle. It's kind of like a leather wrap in his hand, and he goes over to Yumi and says, "You asked me last night if there was anything I could provide for your crossbow. These were found out here in the swamps. They are still very potent and very dangerous, but you are welcome to them if they will see you to your survival." And what he hands you is a bundle of 6 bolts that are doused with a black, viscous kind of material on the tip of the bolt. You can see that the wrapping therein has kind of like a slimy, oily texture where where the tip of the bolt would lay. This way it doesn't like soak into the leather. But everyone, roll me a religion check.
Religion.
I'm really good at religion. Actually, hell yeah, I'm really good at religion.
Wait, plus
First
0.
nat 20 of the
So,
game.
yeah, only a 10. I wanted to say something to Hassan while he was here, but we'll finish these rolls, I guess.
Why are we rolling? Everybody
You're rolling a religion check?
Certain people.
No, everyone who is privy to seeing this satchel that he is being handed.
Oh, who?
That's everyone.
Religious bolts.
All right. So what you see before you is just freeze. Oh, did my computer just freeze? Can you guys hear me?
You
Yeah,
cut
I
out
can
for a
hear you
moment, but
now.
you're back.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Whew. Like I think one of my screens just disconnected or reconnected. Okay, we're all good. So, what you play?
You good?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just.
I'm like, is that me?
No, it's me. No, it's me. Sorry, one of my players from my library game just messaged me, and I just wanted to answer him real fast. My apologies. So you look on here. You see this symbol that appears to be what looks like 5 multicolored, almost looks like swooshes in a sense. I'm going to post it here in the P5 chat. And I'm going to say everyone recognizes this as the symbol of the cult of Tiamat. And the thing about this is that the black claw that is on there appears to have like almost a stitching outline around that so that it's more like stood out and exemplified. Smith, I'm going to say that you definitely recognize this more because of your innate knowledge of black dragons. When you see these bolt tips, that sticky, viscous material on there is black dragon acid.
Would we not recognized it from Phandalin?
I mean, I'm gonna say that maybe since Smith recognized this, I'm gonna say that he might be able to bring that up. For the rest of you, it's just I'm gonna say that at least it could have been anything. Like that could have been a poison. It could have been really anything on there. I'm gonna say that at least the innate knowledge is gonna go to Smith.
Donkeys.
Yeah, I'll relay that to the group.
Ooh, acid arrows. I like this.
Did Hassan say he found them when he was telling?
Well, he actually he actually didn't say anything just yet, but he says whenever he hands them to you, and Smith, you speak up about this. He says, "We found these amidst a battle scene, and we collected what we could. This was buried in the mud. We were not sure of what it was, but when one of our own had touched the tips, it had burned their skin very badly. It has been kept away so that it would not fall into the wrong hands. But I believe it is best for you."
Oh, I absolutely take it. How many arrows do I get? And what do I need to put into the inventory?
So what you can do is I will have to send it to you, but what it's going to be I'm going to put it in here. It's basically going to be a bolt. Tag you. So it's going to be a bolt that deals or 3d12 acid damage
Wow.
on a hit.
Yeah.
And once they are shot, they are used up. And like I said, you have 6 of those.
Yes.
Iluna would like to say something to Hassan if he's finished with this whole arrow thing.
Yeah. So it's actually as he is handing him this, kind of almost at the same time. But here I'll let you say what you want to say, and then I'll continue.
Oh, I greatly appreciate you sending these scouts with us so we can ensure we find our way back. I was curious if you had anything to help renew health because we used ours on our way here in case we counter anything hostile.
He nods, and he says, "I do not have anything that you could physically take with you. I could offer my healing, but would do you no good once you are out." He pauses, and he says, "But do not think that I will not return the gifts that you have given to us." And it's at this point he kind of waves his hand, and you see another Turok come up, and in her hand, she has what appears to be like primal jewelry in a sense. Basically, they're like strings with bones around them, and at the bottom of them, on each one, is a singular, like gleaming white tooth. And she starts walking up to each of you and placing one around your neck. So you can all add to your inventory an item called Hassan's Favor. And if you just type in HISS, it should be the only thing that comes up. And it's described as a single gleaming white alligator tooth dangles from this necklace. You can detach the tooth from the necklace and throw it up to 20 feet. When the tooth is thrown upon the ground, the terrain in a 5-foot radius instantly becomes a swamp-like, difficult terrain. If the tooth is thrown into terrain that is already swamp-like, it transmutes into an alligator and attacks any hostile creatures to you. An alligator created by this necklace disappears after 1 minute.
Nice.
So she hands one to each of you, and when she does, you hear Hassan beginning to chant. And at first it's a bit of just more of a murmuring, and once you each have them on, his chant starts to get louder. Those of you that can speak Draconic, you hear him muttering words of resiliency, of survival, of propagation, of fortitude, and intersplicing this regularly with chants to the god Semuana. And as he does this, his chant finishes, and there's a bit of a rumble to the ground below your feet. You then all feel like a slight, not a twinge to your stomach, but a, like, something shift about you. And as this happens, you realize that there is now, as you kind of look at one another, you know, there's really not much change, but you see on Cephtus, there is a, what appears to be like an alligator tooth etched into his, like, body. Like, right almost in the center of him, near the arcane core.
I would let the group know when he was finished what he kind of said. And I guess if we all notice this, I mean, Cephtus probably wouldn't notice straight on his chest, so I'd point it out.
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, you have the 18 passive, so I'd say you probably notice it first.
Yeah, after repeating what he said, I'd point at his chest and say, "What's this?" It looks like the necklace we just got, though.
What do we add? I'm so sorry.
Under your inventory, go to type in, under manage inventory, HISS. It's an item called Hassan's Favor.
Okay.
I've been typing that, and it is definitely not coming up.
Did it come up for anyone else?
Yeah, it came up for me.
Okay, cool. I don't get one.
Let me see.
It's called
Hassan.
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 Are you
HISS.
spelling it
Favor.
correctly?
It's a wondrous item. Common.
Yeah, I mean, I typed it in under Hannah's, and it's definitely there. I typed it in under Stacy's, and it's definitely not there.
Well, I still don't see it when I'm confused.
So go to manage, Hannah, go to manage inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And then type in HISS.
Just HISS, okay.
Yeah, and it should be Hassan's Favor.
Oh, I put AN. That's not AIN. Okay.
Yeah, for some reason it's not
Add
showing.
to equipment or backpack?
Add to equipment, because it is an item that requires attunement. So keep that in mind.
Oh,
Does it?
Ooh, about that.
Yeah, I know. No,
you
I'm
have to
kidding. It should
decide.
not. But no, it does not. It does not require. It should not require attunement. If it does show that it requires attunement, I have changed that. Yeah, it still does, but no, I have changed that because there was something else that came with it before.
What does one charge mean?
One charge means that if you take that alligator tooth off and you chuck it onto the ground and either make a swamp terrain or you throw it into a swamp and it becomes an alligator, that is it. But if you do happen to kill an alligator, you can bind another tooth to it to get this ability back.
Oh, I'm going alligator hunting.
Doesn't Hannah have like 20 teeth?
Yeah, I was gonna say, doesn't Hannah have like a bunch of alligator teeth?
Did you just give
She
Hannah
does.
20
Fuck,
of
I forgot about that. She has a fucking bag of caltrops that were alligator teeth.
army.
Ka-ching,
Oh
ka-ching,
my
ka-ching.
god. Well, yeah, I didn't realize that. Hey, I'm not. You know what? Hey, kudos to you. But when you point out the mark on Cephas's chest, Hassan nods as he lowers his club from above his head and says, "That is the mark of Semuana. I have blessed you in his name. You will carry forth his blood and flesh as a part of you, blessed with his resiliency and survivability." So you can all go to the Features and Traits tab on your character sheet, go down to the very bottom and click Manage Feats and add the Blessing of Semuana. It should read, Semuana's blood and flesh now are a part of you, and he has blessed you with his resiliency and survivability. Your constitution score increases by 2 to a maximum of 20, and you can hold your breath for up to 15 minutes at a time.
Oh.
Now keep in mind,
Nice.
Where do we?
Aaron, go under your feats and traits.
That does not stack with
Correct.
my amulet.
Your standard constitution is a 10, so your standard constitution would just go up to a 20. Or sorry, would just go up to a 12. So you're still just going to be at a 19 for the time being.
Yeah.
So this is
What is it
called.
I'm sorry.
Uh,
I have to type it in or no?
So no, just go to features and traits on your character sheet. Scroll the whole way to the bottom, and there's a button that says Manage Feats.
Yes.
When you click that, there is, under that list of feats, there's one called Blessing of Semuana.
It should be in alphabetical order.
It is in alphabetical order.
Yeah, no B's at all. Let alone.
Yeah, because mine was
hey,
right
Stacy?
under feast capture.
Stacy, do me
for
a
Manage
favor.
Feats.
Click the Manage button next to your character's name. Go to Character Settings and turn on Homebrew Content.
Why in the world would that be off?
I have no clue why that's off. But
idea
now
why
when you
that-
reload your character sheet, you should be able to get Hassan's favor and access Semuana's
That's funny.
the Blessing of Semuana. So yeah, make sure that you
So-
guys all add that to you.
Manage character.
And then character
And-
settings. Here, just reload your character sheet. I switched it on for you.
I have no idea. I know Homebrew's accepted, so I have no idea why that'd be
Yeah,
off.
I don't know why. I only just thought now to double check that. But yeah, Hassan looks at all of you and says, "This is the gift that I bestow upon you in your departure. We are kin, as your blood now flows with ours. He looks down at you, me, and he says, should you wish..."
You and me, or
No,
just you, me?
Down at me. He looks down at me and says, Should you wish our aid in traversing the swamps for our deal, simply call out to us when you enter the swamps. We will hear you, and we will come.
We got
Will do. I'll keep that in mind. I feel like this is the start of a beautiful trade ship.
that gave us higher HP.
Yes. Constitution is a direct correlation to your hit points.
Oh, I see. Of course.
Ooh, I didn't even notice. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that was just your wisdom, Lucas.
No?
Calm.
Your wisdom has nothing to do with your hit points. Yeah.
I was being a smartass.
Okay. Son of a bitch. Yeah, so you
Me?
should have yeah, because I gave you the +2. That would give you a an additional modifier to that. So because I thought about giving it as a +1, and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to benefit everyone. +2. Some extra hit points will make things a little fun. Plus, it also plays into Simoana's hardiness and survivability. So,
Bonus.
at that, you can see that now the village during most of this has started to gather their supplies and is beginning to pack up. You see that the flail snails are starting to shift about and maneuver into a position where they will be able to carry on.
I wanted to ask him one more question before we go.
Okay.
No.
Is there anything you would like for us to say or give to the town master of Lylon with regards to everything that's been said here? Or anything that would show he is aware of anything we tell Griselda?
Wait, what specifically are you asking him?
If there's something he wants us to say to her or to give to her to acknowledge that we.
What the hell was that
Poor man.
noise?
Poor man probably doesn't even know who the hell that is.
No, I would just say the town master of Lylon, where all of us came from.
So
I would hope he would know there's a town to the north.
yeah, he knows there's a town to the north. Like he is aware that there's human settlements further north. Yeah, I can't really think of anything that he would.
Like the only thing I could think of is we're gonna have the guards with us, we're gonna have the merchants, and I'm sure Me's already talked to her before and explain and be like, hey, we have a trade deal in the swamp now.
But
One
if you
second.
wanted to send anything official.
All I'm thinking about is how the British Empire was trying to make contact with an off-island tribe, and the end result was their plane was shot with all sorts of arrows and spears.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that's going through my head during this.
Oh no, it just it would be Iluna coming off the fact that he seems so willing to talk about his religion and blatantly said our God sent these people to us and you to save them and blah blah blah.
He looks at you whenever you ask him this and says, when the time comes that we would seek your kind's aid, we will arrive and request it. And should you need us, simply call to us in the swamps, and we will aid you in return.
I appreciate your offer of aid, and we definitely return in kind. And thanks again for offering these scouts to help us out.
All right. So with that, the Turok caravan loads up and starts making their way deeper into the forest. The two scouts that have been assigned to your guidance through the swamps here, they start heading you north. And they, you hear some of the guards, they're kind of chattering amongst themselves, and they make comments about, can't wait to get back to the town, have some ale, sleep in a warm bed. The merchants, as they're carrying these large barrels between these two large barrels between the four of them, they're like, yeah, no, it'll be great. Oh, this thing is heavy. Hey, you strong, strapping guards, you don't want to carry these for a bit, do you? And the guards look back and they're like, the one who was kind of a bit mouthier before, he goes, well, if we're carrying the ale, are you going to fight off the snakes, alligators, and creatures that might attack us? Yeah. You see that they all kind of like, all the merchants' eyes kind of go wide, and the one's like, you know what? This barrel is not that heavy, It's got a bit of a second wind of myself.
At the distance, it took us a day to get down.
It did indeed.
That's also because we only had very limited knowledge of the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
It took us a day to travel down the road, and then we traveled across the swamp.
Yeah. It took you guys about it. Yeah, you guys had to rest along the road before you got to the site of the ambush. So it is a bit of a trek, but basically the trajectory that they are going to be taking you guys are going to be coming out on the high road fairly close to Lylon. But
yeah,
it's
Iluna would look at Cephas and suggest maybe he help them, either directly or with the carpet. I have no idea how much ale weighs, but the carpet can hold 400 pounds.
800 apparently.
Eight?
No, I wouldn't help them. Let the merchants suffer. They put us in this mess. How dare they? We need Cephas to be ready to attack, and let me tell you, if a single drop of ale spilt, means killing this entire party.
A full keg weighs 161 pounds.
Well, they could go on the carpet, and they can mine the carpet and make sure it doesn't freaking go anywhere. But that's just a suggestion.
I mean, that's up to Cephas.
Yeah, why are we not using the
I'll let them suffer a little bit more.
What?
I'll get it out later.
Get it out later.
Actually, I'll just get it out and let it flow behind them just to annoy them.
Oh, God. Terrible.
These merchants are going to taint the ale anytime.
Cephas, just go ahead and start flexing, saying how strong you are. Pull out the magic carpet, ride on it for a little bit.
These merchants are gonna find.
Yeah, I'll just be a sentinel hovering behind them, make sure they're doing the work.
They're gonna go down to Waterdeep and find a job down there and not come back to Lylon ever.
Isn't there a way to use the parts of whatever wood and like pull it with the carpet or something?
For what?
The carpet.
The ale.
No, the carpet could
into it
just flat out
Oh,
myself.
fly.
they could
We're just
just
being
put
stubborn.
the ale. They could just put the ale on the carpet. In fact, they could put the ale on the carpet, and it would not
And-
lose a. Its speed would not decrease.
Then why?
The same point that Smith is bringing up.
Because Me's gotta go ahead and keep his reputation of he was willing to sacrifice all these merchants, and he made that very clear with his agreement. He doesn't care about them.
Okay, got it. This is out of character asking, by the way. Yeah.
So, as you guys trek along, you don't get that far. You get maybe about a half an hour, 45 minutes, when me and you, the two of you both hear something. It's kind of a whisper on the wind. And it's a haze of a voice that has a slight familiarity to it that tells you to head east.
Sorry, can you repeat that? Because I was talking to
God damn it.
stepfather. I'm sorry. I'm
You're
sorry
about-
he's an asshole.
You're
You
about
should be sorry. No,
you're
I'm just
about a
kidding.
half an hour, 45 minutes away from where you guys departed from the camp. You and me both hear a voice. No one else hears this. No one else reacts to this. But the two of you hear a voice that whispers on the wind. It's a familiar voice, but for the moment, it's hard to place. It beckons you to the east. And in fact, it's less of like hearing an actual voice, but more feeling a presence pulling you to the east.
Me will go ahead and make a comment to the group. Oop. We gotta make a quick detour. We can't keep going north. We gotta head east.
What? Why?
Business to where if we don't, you might be losing the two of us. Or what's left of me.
You're in danger?
Danger in
Aren't
a
we
sense of
always in
there's nothing
danger?
you guys can't do about it. Let's just say we gotta talk to possible. We gotta go discuss to the or have a discussion with somebody that is the reason I'm still breathing.
Well, what do you guys think? I'm talking to the rest of the group, not me and you.
Yeah, we have 8 civilians here, or soldiers and civilians, and 3.
Oh, they can
Two.
join us. I promise no harm will come to them or any of this group unless they act up. But we definitely have to do this now.
A little more detail on act up, please. What are we getting ourselves into here?
Has ever spoke to a god?
Yes.
Oh.
She was
What?
nice.
Yeah, fuck that asshole.
Yeah. This one's more of a in great terminologies. He tried turning me into chili before he revived me.
Chili
Right. Well,
That asshole.
you've been a good addition to the group, so I'll go with you.
I won't split this party. We just have to convince these 8. And how many scouts?
There's 2 scouts, 4 guards, and 4 merchants. When you start when you start talking about this, like the merchants and guards are definitely having their own, like, are kind of talking amongst themselves. And the one merchant says, "Wait, east? Like back to where we got ambushed?"
Essentially, yes, except you won't be getting ambushed this time because you would have us with you, and judging by your fighting skills, it seems like you kind of need us. So
You see, there's a bit of a trepidation in their faces, but they understand that their perspectives are outweighed by the rest of you.
Beholden to us. I'm getting the impression that me and you are going regardless, but
Yeah.
didn't say that as
Yeah,
such.
pretty
Yeah.
much.
yeah, we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
What the scouts have stopped, or
The scouts have stopped. They're maybe about 20 feet ahead of you, but they've kind of like stopped and they're looking back and they're like shrugging their shoulders.
Albina's kind of gonna
they,
be like, let's whisper, guys.
I was
Me
gonna
and
say the
you.
scouts don't.
Mhm.
We didn't grasp, but they don't know any common or don't know much common.
No, they do. They have. I mean, during
Okay.
this time, they have murmured and mentioned and chattered a bit.
Okay.
Me and you, as you guys are standing here discussing this, you see a blue flame flick up on each of your boots.
I change it to green.
It does not change.
I change. I yell no, 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 and I'm trying to change as
Yeah,
I can.
it is not changing.
And raise
It is
one
not
eyebrow.
spreading.
You okay over there?
We need to go now.
Lead the way. Who's gonna be at the back? And
Albina,
I'll talk to the
she's just gonna start rounding them up like cattle. All right, turn around. We're moving the opposite way now.
it's not all, we were going north, so
Oh wait, weren't we going back?
Oh.
I'm confused.
back to the road. No, just talk to the scouts. Oh, we need to go
There's been a change
this
of plan.
way. We would appreciate your guidance still.
You see, there's a confused look on their face, and they're like, "Are we not going north where we were told to take you?"
It's sort of a matter of life and death. Detour.
Our party received a calling. I'm sure you understand.
They look at all of you and are they kind of like look at one another and they say, we were told to guide you.
Yeah. Just as you might heed a calling from Samaya.
Simoana.
Someone.
That's it. It always sounds like someone.
That's someone. Someone. What?
Just as you might heed an omen or call from someone, our party is doing the same. For one, they must follow.
And
So we would appreciate your guidance through the swamp if you are able. I'm not gonna like force them.
Okay.
If you guys don't want to help us go to the east, all I ask in favor of you guys with the deal with your chieftain is get these folks up north where they need to be.
It's up to you.
I figured just for the alternative that way, all of that, the guards and the merchants can get up north where they need to go instead of where they got ambushed.
You see the guards, they kind of pause and
It's your
they say,
guys' choice. Either follow us or go up north. We just have to go ASAP.
all right. So, you guys, they agree to go with you. And you all begin the march to the east, diverting your track 90 degrees. The travel through this area is not difficult. The Turoks that are guiding you, they are tracking well. And they even make comments occasionally that it seems as if the path before them, which is often laid with traps and creatures and, pitfalls and tragedies that could befall them, that oftentimes they're dealing with the traveling village, that none of this seems to be the case. But time goes by and the hours tick on. The closer you all get to the east, the flame on me and you's boots slowly recede until they are but just a tiny little fleck of an ember. And it's at that point, after a few hours of travel, you realize that you're actually not too far from where you guys left the camp, because the path you took, while was directly following the village, you find that the village moved in a bit of a serpentine pattern. But as noon is ticking by, you finally start to see the tree line thinning. And the ground here is beginning to slightly thicken, not the heavy, dense, dank bog of that of the swamp. And then you come to the site of the ambush. I'm not going to put every creature on the map. I'm just going to put the party, because that'd be a pain in the ass. But as you arrive, you notice something. Sitting atop the one wagon, you see a figure that is staring in your direction. An old, scraggly man with a long white beard. But you see that he has blue flames flicking up from his eyes.
Oh,
Took you guys long enough.
Leave me alone.
No.
What more do you want? You already took half my soul. You own his soul.
Why'd I stop at half? Oh, right, I remember. Pedophilia. Anyway. Been a while. How you guys doing?
No.
Trying to get back to town with the party, the group, as I'm sure you've been watching us, considering you've been sending whether the spirits to guide us or whatever.
I whispered in the wind. Wasn't really a spirit. Anyway. Been a while. Thought I'd check in on you two. I got a job for you.
Another one?
Yeah, another one.
Why don't you ever let me change your flame to green?
Look, I'm trying out the blue thing. It's new for me.
Me will look over to the party and be like, this is the god that saved my life and is use patron.
When you guys look at this figure, there he is in the chat, but just imagine him with blue flames around his eyes.
This is the ferryman of the dead, Karen.
Nice to meet all you.
Hey,
I am so sorry you have to deal with these two. Well, they're 1.5, really. It took half of his soul, as he said.
they saved
Anyway.
our lives more than once.
So
What's
you
the
two.
job that we have to do?
So here's the deal. I have this new intern. His name's Ass Weasel. Have you met him?
Can't say I have.
All right, well, he's been working this sector for me. All right? And he's behind on his paperwork because there's this cult and they're just sacrificing people left and right like crazy. It's just really backing us up. All right? So you're going to go and you're going to take care of this cult for me.
Is it by chance the
paper
black
trail.
cultist that sunk the ship, almost killed us, and so forth? The cult that you sent us out for to begin with? Or is this a new one?
I'm going to have to refer to the man in red.
It is them and others.
Okay. Because I only knew about the black cultist because that's who I wanted revenge on, but...
Man, why do you got to bring race in this?
Yeah.
Justin, it's the green. It's the cult of the green dragon, which is why you don't have your eyes, your flames green right now.
It used to be green?
I thought they did.
Huh.
Well, anyway, we'll say that it's the reason why you won't let Aaron change them green.
All right. So I will,
correlate with the cultist.
Green Dragon Cult?
Yeah. And the black.
Green Dragon Cult. And black. And you're going to wipe them out. But did you solid? See these wagons here? Nice chrome wheels.
When he mentions this, he waves his hand, and you see that he outfits the wagons back into serviceable repair. Justin will have whatever description he wants on them.
Oh, God.
Now, I know you're not going to understand this design, but where I come from, they call these hot rods. All right? And they have these giant, shiny wheels. We call it chrome. It's beautiful. It's going to be kick-ass. All right? You're going to take down this cult in style. All right, that big metal thing in the front here sticking out, that looks like a horse. That is an engine. All you gotta do is start a fire in it, and it'll go wherever you want. You don't need no horse. Oh, no physical horse. You can eat the horse. Not the metal horse. Don't eat the metal horse. Do you understand?
No.
I think we get the gist of it. We're going to deliver the ale
Right.
first before we go after the cultists, though.
Do what? Yeah, sure, whatever. Look. He's crying like a baby. My intern, Ass Weasel. He's crying like a baby. Just go in, kill these cults for me. I'll handle their paperwork. All right? And you, me.
Yes?
What?
Me. Just me.
Yes.
Here's a little coin for you for headshot in that troll. Now, I've got what we call in the business a phone call, and it's that ass weasel dude. So I'm gonna be heading out. Take care of that call.
We'll do what we can.
And you see, as he says this, he holds his hand to his head, and begins chattering away as blue flames wreath up around him, and he disappears.
Can't go around goblins. You have bad experience with goblins.
Thanks for joining us, Justin.
Take care, everybody.
See you, buddy.
Bye, Justin. Thanks for replaying your role as the ferryman.
Thanks.
What'd I do?
Yeah, for the 2-year anniversary, we could have a guest star appearance by Justin, portraying as Aaron's patron, as well as the one who granted me his powers.
Can I just say one thing before I leave?
Sure. Oh god, I hate you
Yes.
so
Damn.
much.
Everybody.
Peace, buddy.
What?
That's the noise. That's the noise of what the flames made after they engulfed him.
That's
I was
right.
gonna say, does he have a horn on the buggy that?
Oh
Yeah,
god. No, absolutely not.
So yeah, so what you see now as these flames wreath away, where the wagons were, there is still the storage compartments of the wagons, the bits and pieces, or the assembly of it. But they have the front of them where you would normally attach a collective of horses. You
Hey.
what?
Sorry, continue.
You instead see a metal horse that has a compartment in its side, that appears to be big enough that you would be able to put, fire and fuel sources in there.
Fabulous. I feel like Chrome just attracts so much attention. It's going to be attacked every time it's used.
Who knows?
So who's lighting a fire inside of the hot rod that we're gonna ride in style?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you guys can discuss that.
Well,
I don't have fire magic.
yeah, but I mean, even can't we just light a real flame, or
I
does
don't
it have to
have-
be magic fire? I mean,
True.
I can do a magic fire with druid craft.
Seftis, you feel a bit of a kinship with these things.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I suppose I could touch it and it'd catch fire and stuff. That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, get your other horse out. You've abandoned it, haven't you? We can.
Sounds
Don't
right
care
up your
about
alley.
bones.
All I'm imagining is Septus is just becoming Ghost Rider, except with the horse buggies now.
He already has an undead
Yeah.
horse.
Yeah, he just
I tried
dumped
it for
those
that cool
bones
mechanical one.
and is
I mean-
like, I'll take
For the
this one now.
For the mechanical hot rod that's sitting in front of you.
See you later, bones.
I mean, there is a stat block for mechanical steed.
Oh,
It has a thing. Yeah, it does not require food or sleep and can maintain gallop indefinitely, covering twice the usual distance. Yeah, that is a thing that exists.
oh, you feel like-
Regardless, we need to get these. We got to get all these people now that we have working buggies.
Mm.
You see the merchants, they take a look at these, and the one says, "What? So, wait, are they?" He like looking at the horses attached to them, and he says, he sort of pauses and says, I don't know how it works.
Well, he said light a fire in them, so I guess that's what we're gonna do. Do I have to roll survival to try and light a fire?
Oh, I was gonna say I could just walk up and light it.
You guys
Okay,
forget
that
about the
works
fire
too.
wizard in your group?
Sorry, what was that, Smith?
Did you guys forget about the fire wizard in your group?
I mean, I said I couldn't cast fire magic. I was opening it to anybody, but
Hey, go ahead.
go scorch those mechanical horses and get them running.
Yeah, they're gonna
Blow that fucker
leap off
alive.
without us. We'll have to catch up.
All right.
Iluna's just pondering how in the world in 140 years she suddenly meeting gods.
Well, when you start the life of an adventurer,
Yeah, he only comes
They
around on
just come
special
down.
occasions.
She's already met the moon goddess and her counterpart also. She just has two names and two forms. That was an interesting.
Listen, the last time he was around, he tried decking out our ship with what he called a disco ball and said it needs to be partying as hard as the Titanic. It was weird. Then the next week it sunk.
Yeah.
true to its name. All right, so Smith, you step up to these things and set ablaze their internal combustion core. You see, as you do, the exhaust pipes on the sides breathe to life, spewing out black puts of smoke. There's a bit of movement, a mechanical whirring that starts up within them as these horses, they don't appear to be alive in the same capacity that, say, a normal horse does, but more that like they're very stiff-legged as they, as they step forward. The chrome bars attaching them to the rigging here, glinting off of the sun above you, as well as off the chrome rims that are on these wagons now.
They just sound like a target waiting to be shot at.
The merchants,
The wagon got underglow.
yeah, 100%, and it's blue. You see, there's
Stamp
a
saying built Ford Tough Mustang 1148 on the side.
yes. So you, I imagine you all gather up into these things.
Yep.
Okay.
After we encourage everyone else.
So you step into the back, and you realize that when you step into the back of the wagon, the inside of this space appears larger on the inside than it does on the outside. Looking around, you can see that it's a bit more spacious. There's not very much in the line of furnishing exactly, but there is more space for seating or loading up objects and equipment and whatnot. In fact, as you see, two of the merchants, they set up on top of the wagon, grabbing onto the reins of these mechanical horses. You see one of the guards goes up and sits next to each one. As the rest of you enter into the back, the merchant that first steps in goes, "My, what is this? What is this magic? It is far." And he looks out and looks back in. He's like, "Reginald, it is far larger in here than it is on the outside. It is quite a splendor. Imagine everything we could haul this way."
I feel like Iluna might do
I'll
the
be right back.
same with her
Listen, it's
nomadic
only fair we
history.
let the only British guy here say it's bigger on the inside. Get that Doctor Who reference in and
You see.
I know. I wasn't gonna say nothing. I was just gonna let him roll with it.
You see you see as kind of everything changed. It has a little license plate on the back that says police box.
God damn it.
But yeah, you realize that the internal space of these two wagons is now far larger, almost doubled if not tripled inside of them.
Imagine.
What could potentially hold
Oh,
dozens of people,
yes, like a whole town.
almost like a whole town.
Maybe. Maybe a whole
Um,
town. These are spectacular. That's what Iluna would be thinking.
so as you are all gathering into these, you load into the seats, and the one merchant shouts back. He says, "Are you all right? Everything good?"
What did you say his name was?
I
Reginald.
think they're all just. I
Oh,
think they're all just baffled by the magic of these wagons.
yeah. Let's as long as everything's secured. Uh, the scouts, I assume, are turning to go on their way.
Yes, the scouts, basically the point where you guys like caught line of sight of everything, like even just before that, when the tree line was starting to wane and the thickness of the ground was starting to get heavier, they bid you farewell and raced back into the swamps.
There, I didn't even get to ask their names.
Didn't.
It's Lizard Folk 1 and Lizard Folk 2.
Funny
Tough.
enough,
They all look
actually,
they all look alike and taste alike.
funny enough, in a lot of cases, lizard folk have names that are more their task and their job.
Hey, that's what people were named
Yeah.
at first too. Or well,
So it was essentially Scout 1, Scout 2.
No, their names were Thriziak and Yerlizik. I don't know how to pronounce those. There they are in the chat.
oh nice.
Randomnamegenerator.com. Gotta love it. But yeah, so with that, the two merchants up on top, they grab the reins, and the one looks over at the other, says, "Nigel, I'm quite unsure how we are supposed to be moving these along." He says,
Yep.
"I am not sure myself, but if they react as a normal horse, we can give that a try." And you see that he lifts the reins and cracks them down. And the moment he does, you all feel this carriage just lurch back. And the wheels on the side start to spin, kicking up dust and dirt and taking off down this road. The journey back to Lylon is quick. When you guys traveled there, it took you a good few, it took you about a day and a half or so. But the travel back, at this point in the day, it was already about noon, but you guys arrive there as the sun is setting. So as the sun is starting to set over the mountains, you hear one of the merchants up top give a shout back. He says, "Lylon's in view! I'm going to try and stop this thing!" And you suddenly feel you all feel yourselves lurch forward as these mechanical horses come to almost a screeching halt. And there's a pause.
I'm gonna lean over to Cephas.
Huh?
Said I'm going to lean over to Cephas and ask him. Didn't give him any instructions on how to
I
steer
did
or stop
not.
these.
I enjoy watching people struggle.
Jesus. So
To be
masochistic.
fair, so do I.
I love this. We need this man on the crew ASAP.
But yeah, so you guys arrive in Lylon. You're coming in on the southern side, the southern side near where the entrance to the town square is. You can see there is a small depot that is set up here, where the merchants pull the wagons into. You see a handful of town folk, come from around the area and are coming up, gawking and staring at the spectacle of these bright and brilliant chrome rims and mechanical horses attached to the front. And as this is all going on, you see Griselda walking up, and you can see she has a confused look on her face as these two wagons pull up. I imagine you all disembark from the wagons at this point.
Yeah, me looks to the group and he goes, "Don't worry, guys. I got this handled with my girl." He jumps out of the wagon again, hands on his hips and everything, and he just goes, "Found the merchants."
You step out of the wagon. You see Griselda. When she sees the group starting to step out of the wagon, you see almost a sigh of a look of relief in her face. And then she hears Me's voice as her eyes kind of roll back in her head. And
Plus 0 charisma. Let's go.
And she goes, "Well, looks like you did. But what the hell are these things?"
Gift from a
you
god.
gotta ask, you don't want to know.
Or transportation to get Phandalin down here.
And you see, you hear the merchants up top, and they're like, "Wait, what? To get who down where?"
No, I'm you. He is me.
He said,
Who sunk with the ship along with I?
Griselda knows.
Where nobody knows.
And the driver shakes his head. He says, "Wait, when was it decided that we were carrying on?"
Oh, no.
Not you.
These wagons are ours now.
And you see they all kind of have this look on their faces. They're like, "Well, we appreciate that man's help. These wagons still belong to us."
Well, then I guess you're going to help us transport people. I'm sure merchants do that. Call it a slave trade. I was never a fan of it.
Oh my. There's an accord to bring Phandalin down here. Which is what I wanted to talk to Griselda about anyhow.
And the four merchants kind of look at you. You see at this point the guards have unloaded and have rejoined the others in their ranks, as the merchants all kind of gather around, and they're like, "We are willing to discuss the matter at hand, but we have not agreed upon some delivery."
We just saved your
there's
lives.
no discussing.
We just saved all your lives.
If you want, we can give you back to those lovely lizard folk and tell them that dinner's on.
And it is
Those
true.
horses were never yours.
It is true that you have saved our lives, and we were willing to pay you handsomely for such a service. But with everything that has gone on, I'm not quite sure if we are able to argue in favor of another similar venture.
You can keep your
No,
money.
this one will be on the main road. You'll be able to keep the money and all. It's just a quick trip. Plus, we can see how fast these horses go as well.
I see how quick they went. Granted, we covered quite the span in such a short time, but provided, what is it exactly you are looking to transport?
People.
I'm not looking to transport anything.
He says,
People to help rebuild this town after it was destroyed, which we saved, just like how we saved you.
The town of Phandalin seeking refuge.
You saved me a long time ago.
God
Leave me
damn
out
it.
of this right now.
God, I regret letting you name your characters me and you. There are
I don't
days where I
regret it
think
one
about
bit.
what my life would be like without it, and I curse that man for living a better life.
It only gets better once we start talking about more of the crew on our ship.
Yeah.
But we can all speak with Griselda. We need to tell her what happened anyhow. I mean,
and
I see she's still there.
she's right there.
Yeah, okay. She would just address her.
Okay.
We is there a place we can talk? I mean, where are we at? On the map we're still like way down.
You're down by the settler camp. I mean, you can go up you can go up to the town hall over next to the House of Thalavar.
Sure.
Okay. So you see the wagon move. They unload the cask or the kegs of ale from the back of the wagons. You hear the townsfolk beginning to chant and cheer, shouting for the ale, as the bartender from the inn comes over and looks at them and says, "Oh, thank the gods! Oh, drinks tonight for once." And you see that he hefts these 2 barrels. He takes them from the merchant, hefts them over his shoulders, and the townsfolk are starting to follow him back to the local tavern.
Oh, one of the patrol had a specific name, and no, Iluna would just mention that their friend or whatever, Beltora Red Eye, is waiting for them. There was a specific one.
Yeah.
I forget their name.
Jessup. Vester Jessup. He nods and says, I will head over there and let her know that I am safe. I appreciate the insight.
She's the one who sent us this way.
She was a good woman.
So yeah, she is.
Damn it. So who is heading over to the town hall with Griselda, the merchant, and Iluna?
I will. Oh, well, not I. I's dead. Me will.
Damn it. I'm gonna fucking punch you in the dick the next time I see you.
You know, I remember making these characters, and
I was young.
Idea.
I was young, dumb, and full of stupidity.
Hey, you want to make a pirate crew based around who's on first?
Somewhere I got the impression you two came with those ideas all by yourself.
Oh no!
I unfortunately did aid them in this travesty, as I have wrought my own pain.
We were creating a pirate ship and a crew and so forth. We couldn't figure out names, And then Aaron with Woo said, "Oh, I'm just gonna be you."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh," and Lucas goes, "Perfect, Jared, you can be me, and we can do a who's on first."
You know what? There are times where I regret my choices. That's one of them. That's one of them. All right, so me and you are heading over there. Smith, Albina, and Seftis, what are you guys doing?
I'll be going with as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I'll go with just to make sure they don't get into any trouble.
Yeah. Albina? Anna?
Did our cat
Your
kill
mic is
her
your mic's
already?
muted if
Yeah, I don't know if that's in my.
wait, what?
Can you hear
Oh.
me?
Yeah. For some reason the little mic muted was
Yeah.
still on, but I could hear you.
My Wi-Fi is pretty bad. Like the screen has been frozen with your like the videos, and I'm trying to look at the chat, and
Mm.
I can't tell what the heck's going on here.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'll go with the group.
Okay. All right. So, you'll head up to the town hall with Griselda and the merchants. And as you step inside, you can see in here there is the it's later in the evening. It's about 6 o'clock in the eve. Trying to find wasn't here. Oh, I actually can't for the life of me remember what that little girl's name was. I created her.
With Sadie?
Oh yeah, that's it. I was looking for it and I knew it was like 80
Oh
something.
yeah. I definitely would want to speak with her, at least in a friendly, quick way, but that was way down the list.
But yeah, so when you guys walk in, you can see that the hall is pretty much empty. The only one in here over by a little floating mote of light is Sadie, and you can see that she has like a slew of inks around her and different quills and whatnot, various scrolls and pieces of paper. And as soon as the door kicks open, she kind of comes to attention and looks over, sees Griselda walking in, and then sees the rest of you as well as the merchants. And she comes up and she sees all of you. She stands up. She says, "Oh, hello. I was not expecting to see you this evening. Is there?" And she sees like everyone starting to file in, and she says, "Is there a meeting and that going on?" And Griselda looks at her and says, "You're fine, You're fine, Sadie. We just have to have a discussion, and I will want your ears on in case we do need to write down an agreement between these two." And Sadie nods and she goes and sits back in her chair. Griselda turns around and looks at all of you, and she says, "Okay, so I did not get a good listen to what was going on back down there with all the commotion, but what seems to be the matter?"
We went down after your patrol and the ale and the merchants carrying the ale. Just out of game, did the patrol they're not here?
No, the patrol went back to the barracks.
Eventually we found their wagon. It was destroyed. Any horses, I guess they scattered. What was driving the wagon?
You see the one, he steps forward. He says, "We had 4 stallions."
They weren't there when we found them.
Quite sure eaten by those beasts.
Anything could have gotten them. But we followed the trail through the mire. Had a little bit of obstacles in our way. And eventually found the lizard folk, or Turok, as they like to be called. In the end, there was a battle with trolls. And an agreement to fight the trolls and have our citizens back. They were captured.
She nods and she says, and what became of the lizard folk? What was their purpose with gathering these men?
To distract from the trolls. Their leader believes their god sent us to help them. And an agreement was created to help keep the trade route open and safe. The rot trolls were taken out.
When as you're saying this, you hear one of the merchants speaks up. He goes, the distraction that she's talking about, they were going to cook us. The leader of their group said so himself. Griselda kind of like raises an eyebrow and she says, okay, but you didn't get cooked. And this seems to be in part because of the intervention on this group. She looks back at you, Aluna, and she says, so, tell me, where are these lizard folk now? And is there an agreement between us of peace?
Yes, there's an
No.
agreement. They agreed to help us, and we agreed to help them. She'll point to Cephas's chest in case it's not blatantly obvious. Anyhow, that symbol means something towards our agreement. They gave us protection, it seems. They sent scouts to help us through the mire. But the concern seems to be over the horses and wagons that were restored.
The merchant,
she'll look at me.
The merchant speaks up and says, our wagons
that were restored, me and you, by their God.
As you look back at me, he is asleep in the chair with his hat pulled over his head.
Should probably thump him then.
Me, you are rattled awake.
Pirate.
What? What?
Oh
yeah,
no!
They weren't eaten alive, but we ate the lizard folk. What?
See, Griselda's eyes just kind of go wide. She's like, what?
Oh, they did a cook-off. They threw their corpses in there. It was a feast. Is that what you were asking about?
Oh.
No.
What?
It is of their custom.
She looks at you and she looks at me and says, no, I was asking about the matter of these merchants' wagons somehow restored by someone of your alliance.
Alliance is a strong word. He's basically the person that
guy.
made sure that I'm still alive and made sure that Yu has all of his powers. So I mean, we kind of work for him in a sense, which it should correlates with us getting rid of the cultists, which goes on to the next mission, but that's not important right now. Is what's important. Yes, he repaired the wagons and did the mechanical horses and chromed it out, as he said.
Also, we declined the reward. It is not necessary.
I feel like we don't need the gold if we can go get the people from Phandalin down to here, which was a previous agreement that we all made. But that's your guys' talk. He kind of just slowly pulls the hat back down over his face and leans back again.
You see Griselda.
Yeah.
She looks over the merchants and she says, "Is this all true?" And the one steps forward and he says, "It is. And it is true that this man's, whoever he is, his boss of some sort, is the one who repaired them. But should a carpenter repair the wheel on a wagon, does that mean that and be paid for the services, does that mean that wheel still belongs to him? I believe not."
Upon hearing this, he hears the muffled voice underneath the hat going, "His payment was take care of the green cultists. If you want to do that yourself for the payment, by all means."
You see, the merchant speaks up again. He says, "I have offered to pay handsomely for the repairs that were rendered on the vehicle, but..."
No, you said it was for your rescue.
"You have rescued us. That is true. And we are willing to pay you for our safe return. And to that we are eternally grateful. But these wagons..."
Are
But are you,
magically
though?
endowed,
They're
and they are not.
Wagons were repaired by the god who wants the green cultists killed.
their
So you have to pay him
restoration
for that.
their
Is above
restoration
and beyond a typical wagon.
It is, but you must understand that this goes beyond what was initially. Again, I am willing to pay you all for the fact that you have seen our safe return. Should you wish to hire us on the basis of transporting folk, then we have discussions to be made. But to simply assume that these wagons are in your own possession via the simple act of repair and reconstruction, I do not believe that that falls under any kind of...
Okay, how much are the wagons?
In their current state, I could not put a value. It is the value of the task at hand.
So what are you
Listen,
saying is I can't buy the wagons?
Either you're gonna help us with the wagons in exchange for payment,
For the
or
500 that you kept.
Again,
we're
are
gonna
willing...
offer, since we upgraded the wagon, you owe us 4,000 and interest right here of gold.
You presume that we are unreasonable to work with you, but you have yet to hear our request.
You haven't spoken your request. You've just been arguing this whole time.
I am trying to explain that these wagons do not simply belong to you. These wagons belong to the Wagon Wheel Cloak Society. They are...
As far as I'm concerned, they belong to the
employees.
guy that made them all chromy, so I don't care. You take it up with the boss.
The point is,
Agreed.
should you wish to render services of moving of a town, we can get together paperwork in order to put in an acquisition for such a service. He looks around and he looks over at Sadie. Is she not a scribe? Is she recognized within the Lord's Alliance? Could she not pass on the acquisition forms necessary for such a task?
Funny you mentioned Lord's Alliance. He picks up his hat, puts it back on his head, because we're also members of the Lord's Alliance.
We are.
That is fine and good. So are we. This does not mean that the bureaucracy must be put to the side.
And that's where you lost me again. Sorry that you want to do paperwork instead of take action to save a town. That's on you. He leans back and puts the hat back over his face.
The proper forms and everything must be brought to accord before we can reach a suitable resolution.
What is your suggestion? You have your lives. Now let's save some more.
He says, what is the size of the load of which you are trying to move? You have said that it was people, but people do not come light, and they do not come empty-handed in most cases. Do you have an estimated accountant?
Me.
The fuck? Not do they have an accountant? An accountant.
I was nominating me.
No.
Oh, he's already sound asleep again. Somebody's gonna have to shake him to wake him up.
Because
they're not
money,
looking for
greedy.
a person who is an accountant.
And
they're looking for literally how many people and how much weight are you hauling.
I was gonna say Me's already asleep again, so if anybody needs him, you're gonna have to wake him.
I've already said pirate, by the way.
The
rat's already on the face, crawled out and everything. He's used to this.
an entire town. I don't remember how many was in there. Like 100.
Yeah, there was about 100. It's about, so with the amount that perished in the attack, you'd be looking at in like the higher end of like closer to 100 people and whatever wares and equipment they would be looking to bring down.
So to keep continuity, he's eating an apple pie, by the way. I rolled for it.
Appreciate it, buddy.
What a town's worth 100 people. Their belongings may have been reduced in number. This town was decimated.
He pauses and he pulls aside the other 3 merchants. And you see that they begin talking with one another. And after a few minutes, they come back. They say, well, in order for us to move such a load, it is to your benefit that he gestures to me and you. This is that it is through their employers' graces that we have been granted such accommodations to account for this. But the time and the paperwork and everything that we will need to process, we would be looking at a cost of at least 2,000 gold.
How about?
Well, I have another idea, and I didn't want to take it this route.
Mm-hmm.
All right, wait, hold on one second. What were you going to say, Stacy?
I don't know. Something about the you will get to keep this wagon and horses if you move Phandalin at the rate of speed they travel, the amount of income and the size that it can hold, the amount of income you will be able to gain from here on out will be triple more? All because their god was trying to be gracious to them?
Well, do we have assurance that these will stay in that particular manner well after this agreement made between them and their employer is fulfilled? Is that an assurance that we have?
Without
I don't
saying a
know.
word, me just kind of holds up the skull coin and just doesn't say anything, and he's just holding the skull coin up whenever he goes for insurance.
I guess none of us know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know what
He's
that
waiting
means.
for somebody. He's waiting for somebody to make a comment, but
Oh.
Not even I know
the
what that means.
answer the answer is yes, it will stay the same as long as we are still alive and standing, or I can give him a call and have it reduced back to the rubble that it was before. All through the muffled hat, by the way.
The muffled hat.
Bina's
sounds
getting
like
a kick out of this. She's just
should be
chuckling away.
the muffled hat should be a name of an inn or a tavern. You had a suggestion.
Yeah, what were you gonna say, Aaron?
Rather intense, but I'm highly curious.
Not necessarily a suggestion. Oh, he just has a whole nother route we can do shit. If they don't want to participate.
We can't be too forceful, or then we'll have
More people against us.
Iluna would just say to Griselda, we would like to fulfill this agreement with Phandalin as quickly as possible, and their god provided this incredible piece of machinery and
He provided it, he
transportation.
can take it away.
And you should look inside of it. We're just trying to get Lylon up and running as best and as quickly as possible. And these merchants should benefit from that. Well, they're already benefiting. They remain alive.
You see Griselda, she nods. And she says, I agree. They are alive. They are not cooked, nor killed. But unfortunately, I also know that the Wagon Wheel Cloak Society is quite shrewd. And she looks over and she says, Sadie. And Sadie kind of peeks her head up. She says, do you have the travel manifest for my last shipment of gods? And Sadie nods and reaches into a file folder and
Gods?
Nods. Nods. And reaches into a file folder and brings it back over and says, well, she kind of crunches the numbers a bit and she says, I am not quite seeing how you would get 2,000 gold as the cost. And the one merchant steps forward and says, well, it's quite simple. It is 1 gold per mile per... Oh, who left? Aaron left. He says, it is simple. It is 1 gold per mile per transport. We are looking at from Phandalin to here. I know offhand that it is roughly 50 miles following the main roads. If you're looking to transport roughly 100 people, then we are looking at a load value of 5,000 gold. But through the value of our lives, through the graces of your savior, and the reconstruction of our vehicles, we have decided to forego the additional fees that would normally accompany this. 2,000 gold, and it would be kind of like looks around, says, off the record, should the society learn of our dealings, they would not allow for this discount.
Won't your society wonder where you got such a spectacular magical
Yes,
wagon?
and in fact, that is something that we will have to explain when the time comes. But the inner workings between now and then are vague. We should we have been rescued and saw to it fit that we return where we came from with expedited speed through the graces of one's employer, gesturing over to me and you, says,
The power of Grayskull.
the ability, regardless of it, to stay like this would not matter at that point. But we are still taking that risk. It is still going to be a matter of transport, and they still do belong to us. 2,000 gold is what we request, and we will move at a haste that will see your folks here in a matter of days.
Anybody have any input? Logically, I'm actually.
There was a
As
very loud snore from underneath the hat.
Iluna is baffled that people who just received their lives back would charge for anything.
I
Well,
mean,
Mage
it's good
Hand.
This is
business.
the only thing we're asking them for, and after that, they can continue with their business. And probably have more of it because an entire town is coming down. So
What were you going to say, Smith?
I want to Mage Hand to the back of Me's head to wake him up.
Okay. Me, you're kind of rocked awake.
What? No, I only ate some of the raw goblin meat. What? Only a little bit of the goblin chili. Wait, are we still? Why are we still here? Didn't we figure this out already?
they want 2,000 gold still.
Listen, if it's gold you want, I think I've heard about an old merchant ship or something being sunk off the coast here. But even then, I don't know about 2,000 for people. I mean, you guys transport soldiers all the time for cheaper. I should know because I've robbed you guys before.
Yes, sounds about right.
You've never had 2,000 gold on your person for 100 soldiers.
He looks at you and he says, yes, which is why we don't use traditional means to transport the gold that is handled through the appropriate bureaucratic channels.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I'm sure I'll get into those eventually and get that money.
Out of game. We have the money.
I'm not
But
paying
Oh, I
someone who
know.
I just saved.
I say we just
Iluna,
have our good
Off
friend
with their
Griselda here
heads.
turn her back. We slit a couple throats. The
oh
merchants were
no,
lost to the lizard folk. Oh no, Septis, you can drive these wagons, right?
Indeed.
one of you, I think Septis or Smith can actually have a drive.
No, in fact, none
No,
of you have
none.
land vehicle proficiency.
So we don't know what we're doing.
You do
Nope.
not
Albina
know.
can try it. She doesn't mind taking a chance.
You are not proficient. Yeah, that's exactly it. You would be taking a wild chance.
With the entire town of Phandalin.
With the entire town of
Crazy
Phandalin,
horses.
as
How
well
different is it
as
from a ship?
as well as with mechanical horses that you don't know literally anything about, nor how much you can push them.
No.
So
Call your god back and ask him what's going on.
What?
I'd
what do you
rather
mean?
not. Right now, he's taking a bubble bath.
How do you even know this? Okay.
Listen, the last time we tried calling him, he showed up in a bath towel with a rubber ducky. It was horrifying.
I'll just take your word
Yeah.
for it.
he sends me mental images of his bare leg touching into a bathtub seductively every time he gets a bath.
It
The
was
worst part
It
is the thought
wasn't a
of
rubber ducky. It was a
Fuck.
rubber walrus.
God, yeah,
Oh.
that's exactly that.
What?
Yeah, well, it is Justin after all. Makes total sense.
A walrus?
Yep. Yep. And its
In the
name
rhyme
is
game,
Walrusy.
yeah. Just not say that word.
Walrusy?
Long story short, Justin's playing a ranger in the other campaign, and his entire thing is how he wants to sleep with a walrus.
Well, his walrus is a spirit animal.
Yes.
Okay.
It goes downhill the more you think about it. Just don't. I try
Yeah,
not
I just let it go when I said okay.
to. Listen, all I'm hearing is either we can go ahead and do this, we could slit a couple throats, hide a couple bodies, say the lizard folk got them, and we figure it out from there, and no harm, no foul. I mean, the merchant people didn't even know that you're back because they could care less if you were gone, because it was us who came looking for you. And like I said, I was more interested in the ale than your lives, anyways. He says this as he's slowly drawing his
He was
sword
always
with
up
a
front from the beginning.
with a shit-eating grin on his face.
Oh my god.
Hey, he made that clear from the beginning. It was all about the ale. He even said that to the chieftain with the merchants and guards there.
No, Iluna would say no one needs to die.
I mean, the
Just
proper
four of you
paperwork
need to be more
wasn't.
reasonable.
To be fair, they would be dead.
Listen, Iluna, the
To be
proper
fair,
paperwork wasn't filled out to save them, so we went against the Lord's Alliance, so we have to kill them now. He's saying this very loudly directly to the merchants who've been bitching about paperwork this whole time.
You can see at this point they have all kind of sequestered themselves behind Griselda.
Don't you agree? The paperwork hasn't been filled out to save them, so we actually did a disservice. Such a shame. This is what happens. You should have let him stay sleeping. He doesn't do politics.
Oh.
What's Griselda's input on this?
I want to hear it.
She's listening to everything, and she sort of has a moment. She says, "Well, the thing is that I'm not exactly sure. You see, I'm aware of the Wagon Wheel Cloak Society. It is not one that we often work with because of their prices. Oftentimes, it is why we hire mercenaries and your run of the mill courier to do most of our transport. But the wagon wheels do come with, well, there are some benefits to them. But with what I've seen recently, I'm not quite sure what all of that is." And she looks at the four of them and they say, "Look, we were coming here to deliver some goods and barrels of ale and on our way back to Neverwinter, or on our way up to Neverwinter. That was the primary goal. Unfortunately, we did not have aid through the swamps because of the amount of attacks that had gone on there. We tried to divest around, but unfortunately, the cost of which would have been too grave. Look, bureaucracy is a bear, an owlbear, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But the matter at hand, it is, well, they, you see that they kind of like pull themselves back together and begin discussing with one another. And then they come back a moment later. And they say, again, price is set as such due to the present dangers that we are aware of in this
What?
area.
Dangers.
Well, the whole reason why traveling down the Tribor Trail is as treacherous as it ever has been, with the rumors circulating of the dragon, the orcs, now with what we have heard of cultists and whatnot, well, this region might shut down for all we know. Travel through here is becoming far dangerous than it's worth. And the only travel through here beyond that would be to circle the entire way around, go up to Luskin from Silvery Moon, and come down on the northern side of Neverwinter. Leaving Lylon here, well, and Phandalin, just worthless depositories.
What if we say we know a good old group of mercenaries who don't come cheap to protect you on this trip?
7 of them. 6 of them.
I heard their cost has just went down to 2,000 gold.
There's a bit of a pause, and he looks at you and he says, so, then those are your terms. You would charge us 2,000 gold, the same that we are asking you. Have you not considered we have already taken in the accounting of your swords to protect the wagons?
Oh no, we weren't traveling with you at all if you were taking 2,000 gold from us. We were going to have you winging and hope the people of Phandalin could protect you. Just about as well as you protected yourself from the lizard folk.
Yeah, we charge more.
That road is now safer.
Who said I'd be giving my services up for free?
That road is very treacherous. There were some boars on there the last time we came down.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, have you ever seen an eyeball hanging from a tusk?
Have you ever had that opportunity?
They pause, and they convene. I want everyone who
Bina's just loving this.
Anyone who has made an attempt to try and sway their opinion or any kind of input, roll me persuasion checks. Those of you that are trying to do this in such a way where you're trying to scare the fuck out of them, go ahead and roll intimidation.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I rolled way before, but that's okay. Because I only got a 2.
Awesome. My persuasion was decent.
They just kind of hear me chuckling as I'm trying to follow along with me.
I'll just be sitting there with my arms crossed.
They'll think I'm drunk. They'll be like, what is up with this girl?
I mean, I'll go straight deception since I'm trying to tell them that we charge 2,000 gold to protect them.
Sure, you can roll deception.
I was wondering that one.
Hell yeah.
Oh, good.
Why did
Depending on what me wants, I rolled. Because you said one thing and then you were like,
Yeah,
well,
well,
I normally I
I
speak for
rolled and then
me.
I was like, shoot.
So
okay.
But
All right.
my intimidation is -1 anyway, so we're just gonna say no.
yeah, my intimidation's a +8.
I thought Albina would be pretty good for intimidation. I don't know how she has a -1.
She's too busy laughing and giggling at the fact that me has just threatened anything and everything.
Yeah, she really gets a kick out of me.
You know, well, Iluna says no one needs to die. I'm gonna let you just slash their throats.
He said some people could just turn their heads.
You would just be one of the people turning their heads. Just please ignore any of the violent screams.
Well, I would suggest they can be walked out to the edge of Lylon and sent back to Waterdeep or wherever
Yeah, deep into
they
the
were
water.
going. No.
Throw them in.
Walk the plank? I'm all for that.
Pirates life for us.
So you're all having, you guys are all trying to convince them. These guys are kind of back and forth on the matter. And, you're trying to play up, this cost and like kind of scaring them with that, trying to persuade them of, the fact that you saved them, trying to intimidate them based off of everything that's dangerous in this area. And they're still humming and hawing. And then a voice speaks up that is now standing behind them that goes, all right, I've been silent for a while. But listen, let me speak. Let me say my piece. And you all look back and you see standing behind them is Iggy. And he's standing there and, he's looking up at these guys. And he says, I'm not going to say this as who I pretend to be. I'm going to say this is the real me. And he takes his hat off. And he holds it in his hand. And those of you who have been around, most of you only ever know Iggy as this little goblin wearing these wizard-esque robes with this hat, carrying around a small little staff, and fairly well intelligent. But as soon as he takes this off, you see almost a bit of a glaze over his eyes. And he says, my clan killed big dragon from sky. Blast of ice. And then looks over at Iluna, says, she is last one from those who helped get us safe. My clan dead. The lizard, the dragon, will pay. If you help, I will be in your favor. Because we could kill the dragon. And then he starts like gnawing on the hat a bit. And you see there's a bit of a resistance to himself, and he pulls away and he puts the hat back on and goes, oh God, that was awful. Oh, okay. All right, look, I had to get my piece out. But here's what I say. And he looks at the rest of you. He says, one of the biggest issues right now is that dragon still out there. Why don't we get these guys back to Phandalin? It's going to take some time to get folks loaded up. Why don't we go put an end to that thing? The travel up the road ain't going to be nearly as bad if there ain't some ice-breath son of a bitch lizard flying around overhead waiting to eat us up, just like it did James, just like it did Tony, just like it did JJ, like it did Michelle, like it did all the rest of them. We don't even know what happened.
Did you just Google like a New York Mafia list of names or something? Or
No.
I was just wondering where he pulled these names too.
Said, we don't even know what happened to Lucas. For all we know, he's dead as well. But that's my stance. I have been by your side through Phandalin, Neverwinter, down here, through the swamps. If we're looking to get these people back, I say we go kill that fucking lizard. Bring their souls to peace. And make it an easier trip back here to Lylon, where those folk can start a new life, so that what happened to my clan does not happen to that town on their way down here.
for it, because from what I heard, this assweasel guy is a horrible person. I wonder how much paperwork needs to be filed through White Dragon Soul. Fuck you, Lucas.
Thanks, buddy. If anything came out of Justin's campaign, it's the fact that I could never have a normal character with a normal name.
Name was Azazel, but it just quickly became Assweasel.
No one ever could fucking pronounce my character's names, or you just choose to ignore it. Yep. His name was Adley Avde. It wasn't Avocado.
It was Avocado.
Worst
I
part
like
was,
avocado. That's good.
It was just my wife doing it. It's my wife who couldn't pronounce my character's names.
Yeah, we all pronounced it properly. It's just as soon as Justin decided to have the god of his campaign,
arguably my character did abandon the group and go on and accidentally join the Big Bad's army. So yeah, that's on me.
And now you're an intern in hell.
It's true. It's true. I am
unpaid intern.
So with Iggy saying this, he's like standing there before what makes up Phandalin 5, kind of looking at all you with this like burning determination in his eyes.
He's already said he's in for it. He wants to kill this dragon, see what he can get.
So forego traveling with
back.
the merchants and go find the dragon instead. And trust the merchants to get up to Phandalin.
You see one of the merchants kind of like, puts up a small hand. He goes, we would be more than welcome to have you accompany us up to Phandalin. If that thing is still flying about, we can get there lickety-split.
Accompany them up, and then while they're loading up the town into the wagons, we take the however many days it takes to kill the white dragon and find more information about green cultists.
Because Phandalin's currently something like unaware of the Accord.
Phandalin is at the moment, as far as you know, unaware of an Accord, but you do not know if they have been informed of that or not. For right now, your knowledge is that they are unaware.
So I don't know. Iluna wants to make sure they're informed, and to sort of help see them on their way, I guess, at least.
Wait, see them on their way?
Yeah, make sure they can get back onto the wagons and stuff.
Wait, are you talking about when
Until,
they go from Phandalin down to Lylon?
yeah,
What the merchant was recommending was it's going to take some time for them to fully load up a town. Not only that, but also belongings and whatnot, because like people is one thing, but like belongings and stuff, most of these people aren't just going to start anew, so it's going to take some time for them to do that. So what Iggy's kind of suggesting is going up there, getting these merchants to Phandalin and getting them started on loading everyone up, you guys going and killing the white dragon or dealing with the white dragon in some capacity, and then going back. And
but what we agree to keep their travel safe.
yeah, I
And
mean that was what they were under the understanding of. But if you're offering your services for the cost of 2,000 gold, and their cost is 2,000 gold of travel, which they had not accounted for, the fact that you guys, with Iggy rolling, I did a collective group DC of 100, and you just beat it by 4 points.
Quarter of it.
Huh?
Okay.
I got a quarter of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rolled a 23.
Yeah. So it's very much a lot of it did play into a lot of it did play into me and you like talking up the fact that they were going to charge 2,000 gold, and they fully believe that you guys would charge 2,000 gold for these services rendered. But also with Iluna's 20 in persuasion of really calling them on the fact that you guys just saved their lives. They are terrified of Seftis Smith and Albina because of what they saw them do, but they're bureaucrats. They're money man. When it came to the money, that was the main thing that they were scared of, and the fact that you guys are basically saying 2,000 gold for this, but they are still looking at it as if this, when Iggy brought up, killing the dragon, they're kind of also looking at that as the capacity of that kind of clears up some of the issues with traveling along the Tribord Trail, which will allow their trade to maintain a little bit easier.
Oh, I think that was part of the deal with the lizard folk, that they probably would keep
through the
marsh
swamp
area
through the swamp. There are that village of lizard folk is not the only village of lizard folk in that swamp.
Oh, yeah.
Not only that, but there's also wild animals, and you guys are very well aware of that the black dragon cult is in there. So
it's just a little safer. I forgot what my thought. Oh, in the back of Iluna's mind, she would much prefer that 2,000 gold go towards Phandalin or Lylon restoring itself if it's going to be tossed around like that. So that's part of her hesitancy.
It was only tossed around in terms of, oh, you're charging us 2,000 gold to travel with you? Well, we're charging you 2,000 gold for protecting you. So it balances out, so we're breaking even.
That's why she knows she could pay it, but she really would rather it go to...
Oh, that's why you're not paying it.
Yeah.
The fact that the party is sitting on right now,
what?
The fact that the party is sitting right now on like, what is it?
A lot of $1 million.
16,000 gold. And that's only in gemstones. 21,000 if you consider all liquid assets.
Listen, this is just me going, oh, if you're charging us, we're charging you
Oh,
the
I
same
know.
amount. It balances out.
Luxury item. Okay, she's not having any of this.
So I will say that when Iggy says this, you know, he's kind of looking at the rest of the party right now. He has his little staff like pulled up to himself, you know, ready in kind of this like battle ready stance. The merchants look back and at all of you and they say, the one steps forward and says, we would be willing to accept that if that is your terms. A break even on protection services to and from Phandalin, with the caveat of proof that the skies will be safe when our travel commences from the town. Because 100 people will not fit in those wagons, as wondrous as they are, and he kind of says this in relation to me and you, says they will be good for the women and children, and the losses could be mitigated, lessened, but it does not guarantee our safety. Travel outside of the wagons will still have to occur, which puts us always at a greater risk.
Of course.
But if you are willing to take that agreement, I, Reginald Ridgewall
Dead?
Hawks,
No.
a representative of the Wagon Wheel Cloak Society, I am willing to put my reputation on the line and accept that agreement. And
yeah. Seems fair. Proof, you said, of clear skies. Dead dragon.
that would be preferable. It is
Like a
whatever you feel would be appropriate. I cannot imagine that if you have the capacity for which to kill a dragon, hauling back something might be your, well, maybe a heart. That would prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the thing is dead, would it not?
What about oh, okay. I was just say some claws. Okay.
a heart of a dragon. Wouldn't it be like?
Oh yeah. It's gonna be big.
Can it be a blue eyes white dragon?
It is in fact a blue eyes white dragon.
Does it have a blue eyes heart?
So if I just bring back the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card, a Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Mm-hmm. Keep going. Say that. Yep. Speak your idea.
If I bring this card back, that means somewhere in Icewind Dale, a small Pokemon trainer learns Yu-Gi-Oh and gets a Blue Eyes White Dragon, correct?
That's how it works.
No.
I nearly said proof.
Yeah,
like
you already have two that are in a tunnel.
That's true, but they're wormlings, and we should go stop by there because they think it's been 2 days, but we've also been providing them with enough food and shit to last for like 10.
No.
But that's a different campaign.
I nearly said proof like a photo.
Yeah. Draw me a nice picture.
It's dead now.
Funny enough, I just posted it in the P5 chat. The dragon is actually blue-eyed and white scales. So it is technically, I did not lie, it is a blue eyes white dragon.
It is.
Can I have my Mimcat just turn into what it sees after it's dead? in front of them?
Huh?
Like a mimic version?
No,
Wait, what? Can you have
No,
the
I
Mimcat do what now?
transform into like the dead dragon as a mini, like, I don't know.
I
It
mean,
could,
it
They
can
do that
change
now.
into an object that fits within a 2-foot cube.
yeah, so see a mini baby, a baby dragon dead, pretty much.
I mean, you
The
could,
difference.
yes.
They might not believe that's
It
proof,
could,
though.
yeah. I mean, that's going to be the argument there.
This seems fair. Somebody can write something up. Suppose if that's how it goes.
Sadie's like in the back, and you just see that her eyes are kind of like rolled into the back of her head, as the pendant around her neck is glowing, and she's murmuring to herself as you see a quill on the table is like going over the paper with great speed.
She's possessed?
No. In fact, roll me an Arcana check.
All of us, or just?
Just her.
Oh. I
Can
would
I
say
roll it for giggles?
I would say wouldn't Iluna know what she's doing because she talked about her.
Yeah, she 100% told you. You don't have to roll.
Yeah. I rolled for fun anyway.
Albina, you don't recognize this, but it, like, you see that as she is talking, the pen is moving on its own. And I will say Iluna recognizes this. Smith, you have an idea of what this is, but Iluna, you know this. This is her practicing her spell, Ghostwrite.
Yep. So
Oh,
you
okay.
wouldn't be too phased. If you asked, Iluna would tell you because that's what she's practicing. There was a conversation. I don't know if you knew that conversation.
No, that happened. That happened when Iluna was traveling through town alone.
Okay, that's what I thought. But if you asked, I would. If you mentioned
Well,
what
Albina would have been
more
like
dude.
possessed, like looking over at her.
Griselda looks over, like worried, and then just like disregards it.
She's her spell. She's ghostwriting.
Ah,
Like,
got it.
she's becoming a very good scribe.
It is a particular spell that is only available to wizards of the School of Scribing.
Nice. Okay.
All right. So as you as you were
Waiting.
contemplated, you see that a moment goes by. Sadie's eyes come back to the front, and she looks down at the paper. She goes, "Yes, I got it right." All right. Sorry, I was trying to make sure I got everything, and there was a lot of voices going on, and I wasn't sure exactly what needed to be added, but I do have it here. It's an agreement between the group recognized as the Phandalin Five in recognition of the pact set forth by the towns of Phandalin and Lylon, henceforth known as the Phandalin Pact. It is in this recognition with the Wagon Wheel Cloak Society that there is an established agreement between the two parties of services being rendered of transport of an estimated 100 citizens, with the opposing party garnering services of protection to the town of Phandalin and returning to the town of Lylon with an indeterminate amount of time allowed for the completion of such a contract. This is in with the accordance to the Wagon Wheel Cloak Society's bylaws. And you see that they kind of look down at her. And the one says, "How do you know what those are?" And she goes, "I read them while you were talking. Because you talked forever." And she says, "And it is with the recognition of one Reginald Ridgewell Hawks that you are to be the representative of such a contract, as you have presented yourself as such." And she holds out this piece of paper and a quill for him to sign. And you see that there's this, like, slight hesitation, but he... "Yes, I agree to the terms." And then he does this big flourishing signature that is, like, his hand moves back and forth almost as if he was, like, swatting a fly. And then hands it back to Sadie, and Sadie turns around to the rest of you, and she goes, "All right, so I just need one of you to sign this. Who wants to sign it? You're going to be the representative."
I'll gladly sign it.
No.
Whoa.
You want to sign it.
Hey, Sadie, you're doing such a great job.
I know, right? I'll tell you what, I had to do a little bit of divination to learn those bylaws because I wasn't sure what they would allow. So I did that. I figured out that I could kind of pause my ghost right in order to do that. And as she's saying this, you see that the paper's just, like, kind of taken out of her hand by me.
I take
quill.
the rat from the pie rat hat, dip it in the apple pie of the sauce, and I sign me across the paper in the apple pie filling with the rat tail.
Okay, with the rat tail.
Tangent.
Yes, with the rat tail.
What did you say,
It's very
Hannah?
official.
I didn't think that the rat was tangent. I thought it was just like a...
Oh, no.
No,
It's
a thing.
physical rat. It's a physical rat that lasts for 1 hour or when it hits 0 HP.
Yeah, it can be killed. Yeah, it's it in a way, in a sense, it's a stupid form of find familiar, but it only works off of one command word, and it can only be used so many times per day.
The command word is pirate because it's a pie rat.
And it serves no purposes because it can't be commanded, told to do anything. It will sit there and simply enjoy its pie.
Exactly. So it has no purpose except to be stupid. So I take the rat, dip its tail in the apple pie filling, and I sign my name on the official documents.
You see that as soon as you do that, like, Sadie was having this, like, moment with Iluna, and then, like, all of a sudden it's ripped out of her hand. Her eyes kind of, like, go wide a bit, and as you do this, you hand it back to her, and she goes, "Oh."
Well, at the very end of the name too, if anybody looks, you find out me's last name is Archibald.
Me Archibald.
Yep, me Archibald.
Well, while he's in the middle of doing this, she's gonna just be like, "May I?" And she reaches for the rat. She just wants to hold it and look at it.
Yeah, of course. Here you go. His tail might be a little messy though, and he hands her the rat, acting like this is normal.
Like, I'm just in shock. Like, it looks like Rafa, but not Colonel.
I would have reached for that quill, but and look at Sadie and be like, "Pie."
She goes,
"Signature."
"Well, I mean,
it's not ink. How is it going to stay on?
It's not, but it is a signature. But it is not limited to one signature. You are all welcome to sign it, but should the contract be voided, it would be voided under all of you, and you would be held accountable for whatever particular payments could be adjudicated afterwards. So
I'll be just, she's just gonna sit with the rat.
wait, she's gonna do what?
She's not gonna sign it. She's just gonna sit
Okay.
there playing with the rat.
So Luna, you have the quill in your hand. Do you sign the paper as well?
Sure, because she can make a payment. I don't know what me's gonna do except try. What's he gonna do?
Ways.
If it breaks apart.
I have ways.
Yeah, but she doesn't know what they are.
So
It usually involves torture and robbing
Resummoning your
and
god.
Slitting people's throats.
listen. That was a one-time thing of saying, "Listen, just turn your head. Issue solved."
Does anybody else want to sign this contract between your group and the Wagon Wheel Cloak Society?
And everyone just sees Bina reaching in and getting Raph out and be like, "Look, it's not your enemy. You're not really a cat, but look, you have a friend here." And she's just letting them together.
The rat is sitting there. It has its pie. It's very placid when it sees Rafa. Rafa reaches out to like try and take a piece of that
Apple
pie, and you see that as it tries to do it, like none of it comes off. And she just like gets this like has this like disgruntled.
And I tell Raph to turn into the same little rat there to sit next to it.
She looks at you. She kind of pauses for a moment and she looks down. Huh?
I said, "Go on, you don't want to scare it."
She transforms into a rat, but is like in its form is slightly larger than this rat, and also holding a whole pie like connected to its hands in its entire form. You know, instead of the smaller rat with a piece of pie, as her you know, proud nature is kind of taking ownership, and like holds out the whole pie, and you just see the pie rat, you know, almost completely ignoring her, and she like quickly pulls it back, not even, you know, and like pretends like she's eating into it.
Oh my goodness.
So
thank you, Hannah, for encouraging my bullshit.
So does anyone else sign the contract?
Baptist does not. He wants to set it on fire.
Okay.
Yeah. Well.
So he signs it is by scorching the edges.
No.
Would that be a contractual singe, though?
Smith?
No thanks.
Okay, cool. So me and Iluna.
So Iluna would add of Phandalin 5 with Lord's Alliance.
Wait, say that again?
Of Phandalin 5 with Lord's Alliance. That's how she's associated with these people, along with her name.
Oh. So you are signing on behalf of the Lord's Alliance.
I didn't.
Yeah, of.
Yeah, well,
Iluna of
this relationship should be built on trust.
Phandalin 5, huh?
No, I didn't.
You're not on mute.
Oh, sorry. But oh no. What I was gonna say though is you doesn't get the choice in the matter, since the fact that I signed it, he's contracted to me, so he's already contracted.
You two are a package deal.
That's great.
Well, I mean, basically all this means is as me, you know, or as Iluna finishes signing, Sadie takes the paper. She kind of holds it out to everyone else with the quill in her hand. No one else signs it. She turns it over to Griselda. Griselda nods, signs it on behalf of as an adjudicator, and looks down at Sadie and says, "Well, take this over to Galileo and get him to duplicate it and send one copy up to Neverwinter. so that it may be sent to the appropriate representatives. And she nods, and you see that she quickly aways out of the hall. And Griselda, after she leaves, she kind of looks at everyone, and she says, "Well, so it appears that settles that. I imagine you are all going to depart in the morning, or are you going to spend some more time here before you disembark?"
I figured to part in the morning, go have a drink of the ale that we delivered, and be prepared, but that's up to you guys. I'm fine with whatever. I could take a day off.
I want to get back to Phandalin. We took this extra trip out. It's taken, what, 3 days or 4 in total?
I mean,
One
are you
day up.
referring to, like, being away from Phandalin, or are you talking simply about the trip down to the swamp?
Yeah, down to Lylon and back. That added over a day.
Oh,
Closer
yeah.
to 2?
Yeah, you
2 or
guys
3.
left Phandalin. You guys left Phandalin about you're on day 6 away from Phandalin.
But from Lylon, it added an extra.
Right. Yeah, you guys were in Lylon on the 8th day. It is currently the 9th day. So and it's still going to take you guys a couple, like, it's going to take you some time to get back to Phandalin. So but good.
Only thing Iluna's curious about is, because it's been a day, if Gallios felt a bit settled and the people came back to work and all that stuff.
Well,
But that's it.
I mean, that is something that if you wanted to go and ask him about, you guys do have at this point in world, it is 7:00 in the evening. The sun has creeped down behind the mountains to the east, and it is, getting there later in the evening. So you guys have free time and free action from this point. As Griselda, kind of looking at everything, she says, "All right. Well, now that that's decided between the lot of you, if you're going to be leaving in the morning, I must go and talk with the 4 guardsmen. I must find out their official reports of what happened. Make sure everything." And she kind of like looks at all of you, in this like knowing kind of smile, and she says, "Make sure everything's corroborated between their stories and yours." And then she disembarks out of the hall as well. After she leaves, the merchants, they kind of settle themselves, and the one looks over and says, "Nigel, do you think we should go and figure out how those mechanical horses work? If we are to be returning back to Waterdeep in any fashionable time after this venture, I think we're going to need to know a little bit more about them."
Oh gosh.
You see the one who he's talking to, he says, "Well, we could give it our best bet. I've serviced many carriages. I can't imagine they'd be too different."
You damage those horses, you'll have me to answer to.
Holy shit, I fucking love that, but I could barely understand it.
Yeah, it was harder to understand than normal.
What did Seftis say?
You damage those horses, you will have me to answer to.
You damaged the horse.
Yeah, they kind of like they kind of like look up at you and are like, "Well, kind sir, if you have any if you had any input or any kind of guidance that may aid us in our understanding of such creatures so that our mutual travel would be of a more prosperous nature, we would be glad to have you join us in taking a look at them to try and better understand how to utilize their unique abilities.
You have only my warning.
Your mic trailed off at the end. I'm not sure what you said there at the end.
You are a weasel of a man. I detest you.
You're a weasel and a man?
A
I think he
weasel
said
of a
you're a
man.
a weasel of a man.
I heard a weasel of a man. I heard that part. I did not hear the second part.
I detest you.
Oh, and he looks up at you and he says, "Well, I respect your opinion, and I will say that I find you of high standing and of terrifying stature." And he looks over at the rest of them and he says, Vincent, would you... He says, Vincent, Nigel, Reginald, would you please let us go? And you see Reginald, the one who signed the paper, he looks at you, Cephas, and he says, in all truth, we would be gracious if you would join us, if you have any insight in how these creatures work. As you can tell, we are ignorant of their construction as well as of their inner workings. And then looks over at Smith and says, you, sir, as well. You seem to know how to kick them on, per se, with that staff of yours. If you would wish to join us, your assistance in any capacity would be welcome.
What's he referring to? Joining him for what?
He's basically what they're looking for is they're trying to figure out how these mechanical horses work, and essentially seeking Cephas and your ability to better understand how they work, because they obviously can see that Cephas is a warforged and a arcana mechanical being, and that you were the one who, stepped up and lit the fires in them, and seeing your wizarding ways, your arcane knowledge, they are curious if the two of you would be able to assist them in better understanding how they work and how to make them better at utilizing them.
Sure.
Will help, but my patience wears thin.
All right. So the rest of you see as the four merchants leave this building with Cephas and Smith following up behind them. So like I said, you guys do have some time here in town this evening. Is there anything the rest of you want to do? I imagine Iluna wanting to head over to speak with Galileo.
Yeah, just basically see if things progressed in the past. Mostly 2 days.
Hannah, what would you like to do during this time?
Um,
He said Cephas and Smith are heading down with the merchants to deal with the mechanical horses. Iluna is going over to speak with Galileo just to see how he's been since everything that happened. And I don't know what me and you are doing yet.
I'm going to the inn to tell the barkeeper that I brought the ale like I promised. I'm the hero of this town, the hero of this story. It's my fucking story and me-topia, damn it.
Okay, buddy.
and Albina will go with me to the tavern.
All right.
Oh my.
Aaron, I imagine you is following suit with the two of them?
Yes.
Okay. So
And they take
we'll
cats in their hands.
we'll kind of hit this up in the order at which you would arrive at the locations. So the group is it's on the wrong layer. Forgot that I actually had your tokens on this map before.
I noticed that when you opened it, and I was like, why are 4 of them up here, and where's the other 2?
Yeah, because the other 2 were at the tavern.
I couldn't find them at first, but I should. Yeah, I found them eventually.
All right, so Iluna, you head over. You all kind of leave the building roughly the same time. You head over from the town hall meeting, that little A-frame building off to the right of the tower. So it doesn't take you long to actually reach over to this place. As you are heading up in, following this path, like I said, it's fairly later in the evening, but you can actually hear sounds coming from the tower itself. What almost appears to be thuds and hammering and whatnot. And when you get to the top, you can hear what appears to be the sound of construction, as you also notice that the winch that raises it and lowers the rubble from the top is now starting to kind of come down in this hour, and you hear a voice yell up, says, "All right, come on. We got to get one more load down before we lose all of our light. Come on."
He said load.
He did say load, because that's a word that is doesn't have to be dirty, dirty bird. But as you walk up to the entrance of this place, the open side there, you instantly you immediately recognize the voice of Sadie going, "And so they were talking for so long that I actually was able to divine the bylaws of their company, and that allowed me to figure out what restrictions and what clauses I had to put in the contract." And you hear Gallio's voice. He goes, "Well, that was quite resourceful of you. I am impressed at your ability to drop that spell at a moment's notice, cast another one, and maintain that. You are becoming quite the proficient scribe, young one." And at that point, you walk in and you see Sadie standing there next to Gallio as they are sitting at that large table that was in the center of the main room there in the tower. And as soon as you walk in, Gallio stands up, and Sadie kind of jumps up, and Gallio says, "Oh, good evening. It's Iluna, was it?"
Yes, that's correct.
Sadie jumps up. She goes, "Oh, hey, how you doing?"
Good. How's your
I gave Gallio your contract. He's gonna duplicate it. He's a lot faster than I am.
You'll get there. I've only known you a short while and seem to improve your skills already.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying to, using up all the magic I can every day. Maybe one day I'll be like Mr. Ellebro here.
I'm sure. You've got dedication.
And Gallio looks down and he says, "Well, Sadie, it is getting late. I'm sure that your parents will be wondering where you're at an hour that there is certainly no business you have to attend to at this time." And she says, "No, honestly, I was finishing up some minor paperwork when everyone arrived. And so, yeah, but it was good seeing you again." And she looks at you, Iluna, and says that, and turns back and gives Gallio a wave and says, "I'll see you tomorrow." And then she runs off down the hill.
Good to see you.
Oh,
have a good evening.
She'll be your.
Gallio looks at, kind of watches her as she goes down. He goes, "Tell you what, it's true what they say. The next generation picks up stuff so much faster than the previous one. That girl's gonna outrank me in no time."
Yeah, I meant when I said I've only known her a couple of days. She seems to
I've only
improved
known
in
her.
that short time.
Yes, I've only known her for a few 10-day, and her skills have skyrocketed. It's amazing what patience will allow you to achieve.
Well,
Um,
and a good teacher, I'm sure.
well,
She
I
admires you.
I am quite skilled in my own rights, and I was trained by some of the best. So to carry on this legacy of the scribe is what we look for. But what is it that I can help you with? I was just about to go and perform a duplication on this. If you had something more pressing.
No, I just came to see how everything's been going since we left. If you've been able to get some sleep, if the presence of ghosts has definitely disappeared.
I have.
Workers returned, it seems.
Last night was arguably one of the best sleeps that I have had in quite some time. To say the least, I am gracious for your intervention. Your small friend who did what he did. I am in your favor, in your debt. Still trying to fully grasp what has happened, and well, this new understanding is of what I have learned from Thalavar's teachings is still resting in my mind.
Oh.
It is still to me fresh. The understandings, the books that I have been scouring, it is phenomenal, to say the least. I believe that a breakthrough could happen with this knowledge.
Yeah, he gave you a powerful gift to impart that knowledge through the
veil.
As
yes,
dead
exactly.
beings.
From the ethereal realm, he bestowed upon me the knowledge that he had. With those capabilities, imagine what we could accomplish in this living world to draw upon the memories, the knowledge of those who came before us. If we could somehow breach that curtain that separates us, to reach beyond and break through the veil, the secrets we could learn. Necromancy gets you so far into the memories of those who have fallen. But if you could take that for yourself, utilize that knowledge, if that is something that is feasible in this world, diviners out there would be, their powers would be near endless. The truths and secrets they could unfold would be earth-shattering. It has been truly a gift that has been given to me.
It's nearly incomprehensible. I've not experienced or known anyone to experience something like that. Not quite. In
do
all
me a
my
favor.
years.
Roll me an insight check.
Yo, okay. Insight's high. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with your passive. It's 15. He paused, like, as he's saying this, you're almost seeing like this. There's something about him that is you know, the tired, exhausted Galio that you knew before. This is definitely a different side of him that you're seeing. He almost has like a crazed fervor about him, as he is talking about this, and kind of like sparks to life a bit more when, he mentioned the ethereal plane and breaking through the veil and reaching beyond, the curtain and stuff like that. He said he seems, what could be seen as, heightened excitement, could also lead one to think of someone obsessed with something.
You must it's a powerful thing to gain. You must
Indeed it is.
maintain caution, though.
Yes.
Uh,
Well,
And Iluna's thinking about how there seems to be this running theme of gaining power from. I mean, they just ate some lizard folk.
and you see that he says, "Yes, I understand. I'm trying to be mindful of what it is I read. I understand that there can be dangers present in these books, secrets long lost, only now brought to light. But it is through my teachings and through my judgment that I have been able to maintain myself. My excitement grows, but I also see that there is potential here. The things that I can accomplish, especially when this tower is back to its full reckoning."
Full reckoning. Be
Yes.
careful with that
Well,
beacon.
its splendor, for another word. It was this tower, after all, that was the site of Lylon's greatest travesty.
Indeed.
So we do not want that to happen again. So it must be handled with care, with caution.
Extreme caution. It was just out of game a bit. It was the spell plague that caused it to
Yes.
it-
It was the spell plague that caused what the
the
spell plague.
destruction.
The spell plague caused the thing that caused the calamity to happen. It was not the spell plague
Yeah.
itself, but it was the influence of the spell plague on a magic item that was holding back these creatures from another plane that Thalavar was studying and researching. That when the spell plague happened, that spell that held these creatures in place was turned out onto the town, freezing everyone there, turning them to frozen statues.
Yeah. It was huge. We wouldn't want anything like that ever occurring again.
Of course not. I mean, that is... But, truth be told, you could never account for another spell plague.
No.
But
Something else like that could happen. And we have a pressing matter with these cultists and dragons.
yes, that is true.
But
It is... It is these times that are challenging to all of us, pulled in so many ways.
very challenging.
But I must be away. I must get your contract
Indeed.
duplicated.
We aim to leave in the morning.
Well, then I will make sure that this receives itself to the appropriate members of the order in Neverwinter as quickly as I can.
I'm grateful for your speed. And just to catch up. Hopefully this tower becomes something special again.
Special indeed. And you see that as he says that, he steps into his office that was that room that had all the blah blah blah, that had all the inks and stuff.
And it scrolls. Oh, I was gonna say, are you teaching Sadie? But I feel like I shouldn't encourage that.
Yeah. So, do me a favor though. Roll me a perception check as he's making his way in there.
It's so high. Oh. 25.
So you, as you see that he is closing this door, you kind of take note of a symbol that's on his robes. You actually didn't notice this before. So it's not something that you recognize. Well, you know what? Roll me a history check.
History's icky. I won't change it, but is that something we could use our inspirations on all rolls, not just combat?
Any D20 roll.
Yeah, I'll keep I mean the 18's fine. I wouldn't have changed that.
I'm talking it up cute. Even on like the checks and stuff, or just
Yeah, you can use it on checks, saves, attacks, anything that's a D20 roll that you make.
But we have to say it before we roll.
No, you can claim before you roll that you want to roll with advantage, and when you roll both dice, you can take the highest. If you wish to simply re-roll your die, so like let's say if, for example, when you rolled his 4 in Arcana, he could have opted to re-roll, but he has to take that second roll. So if he would have rolled, well, that was a 1, but had he rolled like a 2, he could also roll a 1.
Yeah, well, I'd still want to take higher. I mean, I probably wouldn't get low. Okay, that's good to know. Thanks.
So, you take notice of this, and you see this symbol on the back of his cloak, as he closes the door behind him with a mage hand. And when you look at that, there's a familiarity to it, but you're not able to put your finger on it.
Because it's too far away.
God damn it. You're able to keep this shape, this design in your mind. And the only thing that really comes to your head, that comes to your mind when you look at it, is that something about wizards. So you kind of think that it may benefit you to maybe ask Smith about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's, could I say I scribble a generic, like, something that sort of looks like it down?
Oh yeah, I mean, we could say that if you want to, pen something down on something, I imagine you probably have something you can scrawl on and scrawl with an arrow onto something. No problem. You literally have paper and a pen. Okay.
Yep.
All right, cool. So we're gonna jump down. So with that, we're gonna jump down to Cephas and Smith.
Oh, I would head to the tavern. I wasn't gonna go.
Okay.
Anywhere else.
So we're gonna jump down to Seftis and Smith. The two of you head down there with the merchants. They're kind of keeping a bit of their distance from the two of you, and once you arrive down to these wagons where they're being kept, they start looking over them. And the two of you get a better look at these things. And Smith, the two of you, Seftis, you notice they have a very similar design and construction to what you are, to a warforge. Almost as this would be essentially like a warforged horse. But Smith, the main thing that you notice about this, you were the one that lit the fires in their stomachs, and that fire is still going. But it is almost burning at like a hotter fire than what you normally would have been able to produce. Like it is like a more cleaner arcane flame than most mages you know would be able to produce. Do me a favor and the both of you roll me investigation checks. So, Seftis, you're more just kind of taken aback at how, whoever this being was, this boss, this patron associated with me and you, the fact that he was just able to like snap his fingers and these things are here is kind of fascinating to you. And their construction is very similar to yours and other warforges. Smith, as you're looking at them and you're kind of watching as Seftis is taking a look at them, you get this thought in your head that the fire that's burning within them is almost identical to the flame that is burning inside of Seftis. And it's really now that you have had this moment to like kind of take a look at the flame burning within Seftis, that you get a feeling that the fire within him is not just your normal flame, but appears to be an essence of pure elemental fire. And you kind of have this thought of, like it is almost impossible to obtain something like that in this material plane, because something like that has to be gathered from the elemental plane of fire. As somebody who has researched planar, the extra chaotic planes, this is something that you are kind of taking more of a note on. As you're seeing this, the merchants are, kind of looking at these horses and like poking and prodding at them. The one says, "So, are they alive?" He like kind of goes up to the one's mouth and like poking into its nostrils where you can see a bit of like flame flicker and burn, and he pulls his hand back and says, "What? Do they live? Are they mere machine?" And he kind of says that as he looks up at you, Seftis.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I said, from your inspection of these, there is as much life in them as there is in you.
Hang on, my mic.
I barely could hear him talking in the house. I couldn't hear him. I can't.
I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, I can't hear anything if he's trying to say something.
Okay.
No. He is.
What do the robots say? Oh no, he's gone.
He's been talking the whole time, and you should all have heard him.
Yeah, but you're kind of cutting out at the end.
Use your people voice. No, Beebs.
I want to hear Iluna with that filter.
Oh my. No. Are you?
To do anything at all.
Hey, there you go.
Oh, we got working now?
I hear
Yeah.
you normally.
Test.
There you go.
Computers. Okay, what was that?
So what was the last thing you said, Lucas? Sorry.
So the last thing that was happening was the merchants. You know, Smith is kind of like looking at these horses and also looking at you. You're having this thought. These things are just as much alive as you are. Like, these are essentially warforged horses. And in this moment, you're like watching these merchants like kind of poking and prodding at them, like trying to, asking like, are they alive? Do they feel? Is it something that, like, how does it work?
They are intricate and meticulously crafted mechanisms. They require respect and reverence when working with them. Treat them
Yes,
as you would a prize stallion.
I definitely will do so, but I just wonder, do they require sustenance? Are they everlasting?
They require fire to combust and produce power. Ignite in that chamber, you see a blaze. Bear audience the spectacle it puts forth.
I see. This is quite fascinating. He kind of like swallows hard and says, no, I do not mean disrespect, but are you a similar being in construction and makeup?
They appear to be similar to me in more ways than I expected to see.
It's quite fascinating. Then, if you're able, by any means, to commune with them, to gain insight into what it is they are capable of, and by any means, if there is any particular things that we need to know when utilizing their abilities, would you be able to do that?
commune with them. From an inspection, they will be strong. They will be powerful. Their endurance will be unlike anything you have seen. But I stand by my warning. Damage or abuse them. I will deliver on that.
All right, do me a quick favor, Seftis, and roll me an animal handling check, but I'm going to yeah, you are okay. Yeah, I'm gonna allow you to add a +1 because you're gonna do it with intelligence.
Ooh. Animal handling, you said, yeah?
Yeah, so it's gonna be an animal hand. It's gonna be a D20 +4.
Okay. Ooh, that's not bad.
Nice. All right, give me just 1 second.
Stupid ice cream.
Sorry. So you go up to this one, and you know, begin to pay it the respect that you are explaining. Trying to understand it, trying to take a little bit more of it in. And as you do, as you place your hand on this thing, you feel this, like, almost, again, I used the word before, but almost a kinship with it. And you gain a bit of insight into this horse, of its, of its inner workings. You get the same feeling that, it too was created for a purpose that it has been pulled from. But that, it too is wanting to kind of, in time, gain its independence. Like, you get almost this call to freedom from this thing.
Set them free.
So,
Not yet.
I'm going to have to steal some horses, I think, when this is done.
Yes. We want those horses anyhow.
No, after
They may be
Yeah.
liberated.
either you can have them, you could set them free, and they'll come back to you because
so
you did it.
do you do anything with that knowledge in this moment, or do you?
I would keep that knowledge to myself, but I'll probably just like run my hand like over the back of it, like you would petting a horse type of thing, like showing it more affection than a machine should.
When you do, you actually see, unlike from before, where this thing was just essentially just a robotic carousel horse, trudging down the road, you see a bit of life kind of comes to it. It kind of like leans into you as you are petting it. You feel this almost innate connection to it.
Oh, I want mechanical horsey now.
Smith, I had you roll an Arcana check. So as you're watching Seftis, interact with this horse, you're watching the merchants, they're kind of, looking around, checking the bridle that's kind of built into this thing, the rigging that allows them to control it. They're checking inside of that, combustion engine chamber. And do you have, I assume you have your goggles on, right? Your goggles of object reading, because you pretty much always have those, if I'm not mistaken. Smith?
Wakey, wakey.
His mic's unmuted.
Smith.
He's trying a new headset. It's not working.
Who knows?
And that's going around.
Yeah.
He's just boring.
Oh. Real quick while we wait for Smith to come back. Can I say that I checked Sonasha for berries in the morning?
Sure.
Like, had done so upon. I'm gonna try and to remember to do that every morning, but
Smith, your mic. Smith, Mike's not working.
It happens when you throw your phone.
It's so weird.
Something about Mike and Ike's?
No, Mike's. It's so weird to actually call Smith Mike.
I think the first time he did, I didn't know the hell he was talking about. Who the fuck's Mike?
It was Hannah.
Who's Mike? Oh, that's Smith.
1d4 plus 1. I could not find the formula.
Oh no, he's gone. Now he's back.
Back to use my phone.
Hey, there you go.
I'm tired of being.
But yeah, so you have your goggles on, correct?
Sure. No,
right.
I
probably not.
No, I'm not really attuned to them anymore. But I have.
Give them to me. What the heck?
Well, let me see real quick. Okay. I mean, it's up to you. Like, you can reattune to them, if you wanted to. I didn't know if you wanted to examine them further with the goggles. But I'm gonna say with that
Trying to identify maybe, but yeah, I just rolled the Arcana check, just normal.
Okay, cool. So when you're looking at this, there's almost an innate sense that you get from this interaction between Cephas and this horse. But there's an energy that you are feeling. It's more magical. It's an arcane feeling that you get as somebody who has studied the planes, who has studied the planes of chaos. There's something that you're feeling. And you realize that the energy being given off by Cephas's arcane core, the very thing that powers him, that gives him this volcanic energy, when you casted your fire spell into this horse, it is almost an identical essence. But with that Arcana check, it brings you back to 2 points in your past. The first one is farther back to your childhood, when you were being trained by your old mentor. There it is. Back to your old mentor, Elazer. And when the moment that he was taken from you, that tragic day where he was pulled into an arcane gate that linked to the plane of fire, You felt an essence that day, this burning in you, a pure fire source that you have not felt, or that you did not feel again until one day when you had heard the story of a young girl who had grown fiery red hair and had
Hate to interrupt.
a...
Just saying goodbye to everyone because I gotta jump out real fast. I messaged
man.
Lucas.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Yeah.
But the only other time that you have felt that essence was when you went to visit a young girl who had been given over to the care of the Tempest clerics. A young girl named Albina, who you sensed the same arcane fire essence as the one that was tied to that arcane gate those years ago. And in this moment, watching Cephas interact with this horse, the power coming out of his arcane core, that energy, as you have this moment to focus on it, it is the same arcane signature as the one from the gate, the one that Albina possesses, and the one that you have been hunting down, trying to figure out where it comes from. And when you casted this fire spell into this horse to ignite it, you're realizing that that essence is likewise held within you, because you were the one to birth the fire into these. That has driven that connection. And you think to yourself, you may have found a clue in trying to reach out to your mentor. That the essence held within yourself, Albina, and Cephas might be enough to finally try and figure out where your mentor went those many years ago, that set you on this quest of trying to understand the planes and driving you to become this master evoker studying fire magic.
What would be my next step?
You think to yourself that if you could possibly get the three of them together, you may be able to channel your arcane energies and possibly bridge that gap between the material plane and the plane of fire. But to reach out to Elazer, you would need to spend some time focusing on your memories with him. So you think that spending some time with the belongings that you still have of him and attempting this when the time comes might lead to a breakthrough and could lead to a substantial discovery of breaking through that veil between worlds.
Nice.
Cephas, this horse is fucking gorgeous to you, man. And you watch as as you are giving this thing this affection, this, human touch that it so craves. This, not looking at it as purely a machine, but looking at it as a living creature. You get this understanding of how it works, this innate connection between the two of you. And you feel like you now better understand how these, how these creatures behave, how they function, and whatnot. So, so basically what that would be is you have some insight into these horses that should something happen with them on your travels, be that mechanical or damage or anything like that, you would have advantage on figuring out what is wrong with them and trying to actually attend to them, and or possibly if they go rogue to try and calm them. So what would be
sweet.
a like an animal handling check on them, or to use some kind of tool to maintain them, you would have advantage on those rolls.
Nice.
All right. So while all that is going on, Hannah or Albina, me, and you head down to the tavern. As the three of you get in there, the place is just a roar with people slinging flagons of ale around. You just see, various mugs of mugs of various sizes just clanking together and sloshing the contents as the three of you walk in. I would say that me probably, like, you're welcome. But everyone kind of comes over to the three of you, and it's like, oh my God, thank you so much. It's been days since we have had a good drink, and you have brought this to us. Thank you so much. You are sent by those above to see to us. Oh, you know what? It's just good to get drunk again. However can we repay you? There must be something we can do.
2,000 gold.
I can only imagine me as basically like, yeah, pay up.
Yeah, for real.
Endless drinks till the end of time for me.
Jared couldn't wait for his little turn.
Aw,
He'll play me.
You hear the bartender in the back, and go ahead, Aaron.
No, I realized that he wasn't here, and I'm like, wait, why isn't he saying anything?
Yeah,
I had to leave a little too soon.
Yeah, he had to leave his he had something going on, so he had to head out. But yeah, they're thank you. The bartender looks over at you, Albina, and he says, hey, you keep supplying it like this, I'll keep you covered. You folks are doing a good job. You folks are doing good work for us here in Lylon. We heard, in fact, you were going to be bringing down a slew of folks from Phandalin. Is that true?
Yeah, we're planning on it. And with this one here, you'll always have your supply. Just pat me on the back.
He nods, and me makes a comment about having some plans to fast track some ale up here.
He doesn't call it Meville or whatever.
Yeah, Metopia.
Yeah. Medieval.
Yeah. Oh God.
Oh no.
Medieval.
That's great.
The bartender pauses and he goes, medieval. You know what? I think that's a hell of a name. He goes down, he scrawls it on a piece of paper. He says, have to keep that in mind when I'm getting the new sign for the place built.
Put a little pirate.
Yeah. Fuck, I know medieval is spelled very weird.
It is.
But yeah, so he looks at the two of you, or looks at the three of you, and says, well, again, you're welcome here anytime you need to stay. Ale on me for what you need. But if there's anything else, and he takes a look at your the shield you have, Albina. Your symbol of Tempest. And he says, I meant to ask the other day when I saw you. I recognize that symbol. Is that not the, that's the symbol of Tempest, am I correct?
Yeah, you know it?
I do. It was, quite a long time ago, but a town of mine was attacked by a group of were creatures. The whole place was ransacked, destroyed. We were dealing with the travesty, but lo and behold, upon the hill up high, came down barreling a whole flank of Tempest clerics and paladins, bearing their flaming shields and swords. I remember like it was yesterday, but I'll never forget that symbol. Good old Delmar. What a place it was. Unfortunately, it's... with what has happened there, we had to abandon it. And Albina, do me a favor and roll me a history check.
Wow, my computer won't let me. 1 second. I'll refresh. Yeah. It kicked me out 1 second.
No.
I don't know what's going on with my Wi-Fi.
Sounds like you're having me Wi-Fi issues.
Solar flares. They actually were happening like a week ago.
Which one am I rolling? I'm so sorry.
History.
Thank you. I think it's rolling. Oh dear. You might have to roll for me. I'm not even seeing the dice. And I've clicked it like times.
There we go. We'll go with yours, because you rolled a 17.
Yay.
When he says Delmar, something comes to mind. You think back not too long ago. You know, you had to deal with Zash becoming lycanthropic. You used that memory, that sting comes back to your mind. You were there that day. The battle against the were creatures, I think they were rats, but the were rats in Delmar was the same battle that you recalled that day to aid your friends in his struggle with his lycanthropy. And you see this man, he's kind of looking at you and he's having this memory in his mind of that battle. And as you're having this thought, you remember being there that day. And you vaguely remember this man's face.
It can't be. What's your name again?
Dugan.
I was there. I saw you in the distance.
You were one of them who was on the hill. The ones who drove back the were-rats.
Yeah. My friend was attacked and he was transformed and he went through a lot with the attack, but yeah, I was there.
Lendiri, you have... should anything ever befall this town, you need aid or assistance by anything, you will call for me, and I will stand by you sword in hand. As he gestures up to a sword he has hanging above him on the wall that is emblazoned on the hilt with the same crest of Tempest.
And I'll be there for you if you need me.
He nods. He says, then Lylon will be safe when we are together. And I think with that, probably going to call the session tonight. Because it is 5 till 10. But
give her a drink and I'll sit and talk the rest of the night.
All right. Hey, Smith.
Nothing?
Ask me your question.
Which question's that?
The one you always ask me.
How do we level up?
You do level up.
Way.
Can I fireball something?
I mean, I guess maybe. I'm gonna tag the whole group though. This way, Jared knows.
Yeah, I forget how to level up, but we'll do that. Oh, wait, no, I don't. I remember.
So,
I'll do it on next session though. I'll do it before it.
Oh, that's fine. Take your time.
I don't get to ask Smith about this. That picture you put about with the stars.
Next week,
I'll say we can handle that. We can handle that next session.
Okay.
Just keep it fresh in your mind.
I just figured next session we'd be like, it's the morning, let's go. But anyhow.
Is it Smith that knows, or is it you that knows?
No, it would be Smith. Well, I mean, I guess. Well, it is what that symbol is directly related to wizards.
Yeah.
So it is possible. It is possible that you knows more because of an arcane understanding, but it does more specifically tie to wizards. But yeah, so you guys get the level up. So you will level up to 9 for next session, when you guys will start making your way back to Phandalin, taking the high road, and dealing with the white dragon.
Yay!
Yeah.
Well, I really have to go to the restroom.
All right.
Oh.
I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night, Hannah.
Night.
Bye.
I will say, I thought when I was gonna be like, I just want to see how things are.
I'm sorry.
Nope. What?
Something and I left. I'm sorry.
It's all good. No, go ahead. Do your thing.
Oh,